All right. Welcome back, listeners. This is the Philly Foursome podcast, episode number 5. We are at a pretty cool event today. We are live from the Haverford Trust Classic event at Sunnybrook Golf Club here in the greater Philadelphia area. This is a special event. It's a really unique event with a large first place prize, which we'll talk about here. But most importantly, we have just a wonderful sponsorship and partnership with Haverford Trust. And we have our first special guest of the podcast, Mr. Jeff Surratt, the executive director of the Philadelphia PGA Section. Jeff, great to finally have you on the podcast.
Thanks, Johnny. Thanks, boys. Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
congratulations.
Thanks for being
Congratulations on all the success.
Thank you. Thanks. So Jeff, this is really cool. Probably one like the most unique section event in the entire country within our 41 PGA sections, right?
I would agree.
Tell our listeners, about the Haverford Trust Classic, why we're here at Sunnybrook, how this thing started, the whole history behind it, and what makes it such a special and unique event. Most importantly, our wonderful partners at Haverford Trust and kind of their love and passion for the game and giving back and for high level competitive golf.
Yeah, really, it all kind of starts and stops with George Cannell. George is, I believe, it was kind of the father of this event. The genesis came from George's love for golf and love for PGA professionals. I think his driving force behind this was to change somebody's life. In our business, especially our assistants don't necessarily come in and make a ton of money out of the gate. So the idea was, hey, is there a way to build an event where we could help improve somebody's life, change somebody's life, make an impact? And that's really what it's been. I mean, the event itself, we're in our 26th edition of the Haverford Philadelphia PGA Classic. It started in 1997. First place was $10,000. The total purse was $32,000. Jim Marston beat John Applegate in a playoff 8 days later. So there were 220 players in the first event.
Wow.
They obviously didn't finish because they had 220 players in the event, and they ended up having a playoff back here at Sunnybrook 8 days after the event. And that's how it all got started.
Wow.
So it started before me, but after that, Mr. Cannell would increase first place by $2,500 every year. And it ticked its way until we got to a first place of $50,000. And then he went from 50 to 75 to 100 over a 3-year period. So it's obviously taken on a bit of a life of its own. Today, first place is $100,000. The overall purse is over $117,000. And we have 146 players in the event, which includes anywhere between 12 and 16 Haverford guests that play. So some of the principals at Haverford and some of their clients and guests, they play in the middle of the event, which is a little bit unique for us.
Yeah.
So we have some amateurs that play in the event. So really, when you look at the 26-year history of our relationship with Haverford, I get phone calls every year from other executive directors and other golf professionals across the country. Number one, you're killing me, right? You're absolutely killing me. My members are calling. Why don't we have an event like this? I want to say, yeah, I want to. Yeah, exactly. That's what I do. I said you need to find yourself a George Cannell, and that's really the answer. And I want to say now it's maybe in its 6th or 7th year that we do the Inside Golf Special, and that really has broadened our reach as far as the marketing for the event.
Tell our listeners a little bit about Inside Golf and kind of their history in the Philadelphia golf market, just in case anyone out there wants to tune into them or go find them.
Yeah, you can find them on Comcast cable. They're a Sportsnet show. They've been around. Actually, the section started Inside Golf. And sold it to CCI, but the section itself actually started Inside Golf more than 30 years ago, which is pretty amazing in itself. And so you can find them on. Obviously, they have a YouTube channel, and you can see a lot of their stuff on there as well. They can find it Inside Golf. So it's been a local golf cable TV show, and they've done obviously course exposés. They've covered a ton of our events over the years. And this special that we do with them kind of lives outside of our agreement. They're been a big partner of ours. So they cover a ton of our events during the year, but then I want to say 6 or 7 years ago, we were thinking like, how can we give back to Mr. Cannell? How can we give back to Haverford for what they do for us? So this was something that we do. So we, the section, invest in the production of that TV show.
Cool. Tell the listeners a little bit about some of the things like the logistics and on-site aspects that make this event special or unique.
Yeah. First, again, we'll go back to Mr. Cannell. So Mr. Cannell pays for lunch and dinner for everybody that comes. He invites guests from Haverford. He invites the membership from Sunnybrook to come and watch. Generally, you all know we don't get a ton of spectators at our events other than here. So it's generally, your wives or girlfriends or husbands, that they come out and watch us play. But here's one where, the balcony, the patio is full all day long. It is a cookout all day long, which is unique. And again, Mr. Cannell and Haverford pick up the tab for that day, for the entire day. The event itself is run pretty similar to our section events as far as how we set it up, how we go through our day-to-day operations with running a tournament. Obviously, we have the big leaderboard that we do, the big jumbotron, which is cool. I forget how that all came out. Somebody said something about, what about one of those big jumbotrons? I'm like, all right, let me look into it. So again, Haverford picks up the bill, for that.
It's cool.
For the
We can
jumbotron.
see it right out the window right now, which is cool.
Yeah, it's funny. Like when you think about the the timeline of the event. So when the event started, it was just like any other section event. Schedule opened up, people signed up for the tournament. And then as the purse grew, all of a sudden it was like, wow, if you didn't have a really good internet connection, you didn't get into the Haverford. So I'm trying to think what year it was now. It's back when first place was up, well over $20,000. It crashed our registration system 3 different times. You guys remember that? If you've been, it was before Beer King. Okay. It was before a little bit.
Definitely before
Mark might remember, but
he is going to be 50 this summer. So yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember when
it was AB Thorn and Haverford were the two hot ones. I remember correctly.
Yeah. So it just it crashed the system 2 or 3 different times. Finally figured it out. But what came of that? It's funny. Over my time, as things come up, whether it's tournaments or anything else with our membership, like everything evolves, right? So whether it's, the technology or what we need to do for the membership. So what we then did is all of a sudden, the event was, okay, so the top 60 players on our points list qualified for the event. And then if you remember, we used to have a stroke play qualifier that filled in the rest of the field. And then, again, over time, as things progressed, then it was like, wow, how do we put more value on our points list? How do we get more people to play in more events? So like, well, okay, let's take the Haverford, and now there's 100 players that qualify for the Haverford off of our points list. So again, it's incumbent upon all of you to play in our events, to earn enough points to get invited to an event like this and some of the other special events that we have. So again, it's evolved. So again, today's field is made up of 100 folks off of our points list, and there's about 40 plus sponsored exemptions that are part of the day that include some of those Haverford gas diameters that play in.
Okay, cool.
And Jeff, I kind of like what you guys did to help protect the field, that you have to be a full year in the section to be able to play.
Yeah, that was a Scott Riley rule. So
thanks, Scott.
Scott rolled in his first year and he won the tournament. Everybody's like, hold on a second, what is this? But it really is, because if you have some folks that maybe aren't really all about our community, right? You have somebody that gets a job in the section, comes in, wins a tournament, and then he's gone, and then they're gone.
Yep.
Right. So again, that it became where it's tied to the prior year's points list. So again, unless you played in the section the prior year or you got an exemption, you're not playing in the event.
That's cool.
Yeah.
So, Jeff, you're the executive director of the Philadelphia PGA. Tell our listeners, like, what does that mean, being the executive director, and how many executive directors are there in America?
I was gonna give myself a really good compliment. No, I think ultimately for me, I work for all of you, right? So I work for the 900 members of the Philadelphia PGA. So we're the local managing office for the PGA, for the Philadelphia section of the PGA. So there's 40 other offices like ours, and there's 40 other executive directors like myself. Lucky enough to be a PGA member myself, I kind of came out of our group. So I think our, working for your peer set is a little bit different, but I think in a good way. So I think I can understand what you all go through, and at least you can look at me like, okay, he understands what we're saying, what we need to accomplish day in and day out. So so when you look at us as a section, we handle all of the member services, education, employment, tournaments. We run our junior tour that has 900 kids on it, runs 100 events. As a section, we run 300 events in somebody else's house during the year.
So part of your job too is going out throughout our area and region and bringing in sponsors and partners for our events. So anyone out there that might be listening that loves golf and maybe is involved at the corporate level or has their own company, talk a little bit about what that could look like for someone.
Yeah, sure. We have over 70 partners that we deal with, and they're golf endemic and some are non-golf endemic. Some folks are looking to sell their services, sell their products. And then on the other side of that, some folks just love golf. So we have some partners that are just diehard golfers and want access to golf and our golf professionals, which is great. So for us as an asset, so you look at number one, all of you are our best asset. Our 886 PGA professionals are our best asset as far as when it comes to our partners. Then on the other side of you is 100,000 private club members and 2 million rounds of golf that are on the other side of what you do. So when you look at the reach that we have, that's our asset. That's our marketing, a lot of our marketing push, and obviously our relationship with Inside Golf. Inside Golf, I think their DMA here in our area is well over 2 million folks here in our DMA, which is fantastic. So again, the relationships that we have with our other allied associations, again, is another piece of our reach. So, and then now we have PGA Reach Philadelphia, which is our foundation. So we have 3 core pillars there with youth, military, and diversity. We have programs under each one of those pillars. Mike Little and Star are really good partners of PGA Reach, and they've been great to us over the years, with PGA Reach and helping to grow that. So now do you not only have our PGA members as assets, you have our 900 junior tour members and their families, and then you have PGA Reach Philadelphia, which is a 501c3 foundation. If folks love military, if they love kids, if they love diversity and inclusion, they can get involved with us.
Cool. And then I just bumped into Mike Wood, head pro up at Saucon Valley, on his way out earlier, and he went to the Secretary's Cup at the PGA Championship at Valhalla. Can you tell our listeners a little bit about PGA Hope and what's involved and what that's all about?
Absolutely. So PGA Hope falls under our umbrella of PGA Reach. So PGA Hope, Hope stands for Helping Our Patriots Everywhere. It's a military program. It's all across, I think right now there's 32 sections that do PGA Hope. We currently have 14 chapters inside the section. And PGA Hope itself is a free veterans clinic. So we run spring and fall sessions generally. It's anywhere from a 4 to 6 week free lesson program for our veterans. And we have a graduation event at the end of each of those clinics. So last year we served over 1,000 veterans through that program.
That's cool.
So Mike Wood came down and his team. Mike Wood came down from Saucon Valley last year in our Secretary's Cup, and they won our local Secretary's Cup. And then we sent them to the National Secretary's Cup, which is hosted every year the week of the PGA Championship. So they went down to Louisville a couple 2 weeks ago now and played. They finished second. They came up short, so they're not going to be invited back again. So, but no, Mike and the team from Saucon Valley do a great job up at Saucon Valley with our Hope chapter.
One last thing about the Philadelphia PGA. What is the actually area that the Philadelphia PGA encompasses?
Yeah, it's a little bit unique. We actually touch 4 states. So we have Eastern PA, so basically Harrisburg State College, straight line down, everything in the east. We go all the way up through Pocono Mountains, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre. We have Trenton South in New Jersey, the entire state of Delaware, and then we have a handful of clubs right over the border in Maryland. So a club is designated a PGA facility if they employ a PGA member. So there's more facilities in there than we register, just because they don't all employ PGA professionals. Okay. But we're, like I said, almost 900 members, and we're 300 different facilities.
It's amazing
in 4 states.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. Yeah. And obviously the Philly Foursome is a really a golf instruction centric team that we've put together, but we are PGA pros, and Mark and I are also the son of PGA pros. Right. We grew up in the business. So supporting an event like this is important to us, even though we're not talking about backswing or ground forces or whatever it is. It's just a great opportunity to get together with our colleagues within the industry, come out here, support a great event, and really share the story of Haverford and the Philadelphia PGA with our listeners out there.
Yeah, we really appreciate it. What you all do, and you bring more attention to what we do, right? Like our PGA professionals every day.
One thing I'll say is I've been, I guess, 19 years now in the section, been playing golf in the section for 19 years. Jeff and his staff just do a phenomenal job. Just being able to play in the Haverford. I know in all the club pros I've played in, hey, how do I get in the Haverford? How do I get in the Haverford? I mean, it's well known throughout the country.
Yeah.
Hats off to you and your staff for just making us better players, giving us opportunities to play for money, friends, the whole 9 yards. You guys do a great job.
Thank you.
As pros.
I second that. Thank you.
Thank you. No, we really appreciate our staff is great. We've had a lot of folks with us for a number of years, and hopefully it's built some continuity with all of you and the services that we're able to provide for you. So, obviously one person doesn't get all of it done, and we have such a great team at the section, and we really appreciate you all enjoying what we do. And being able to feel like we're part of something that's a little bit bigger than ourselves. So it's really cool. So this is super cool. I'm really glad you guys started it. Thanks for coming out today and thinking of us to kind of sit down and chat with you.
Thanks for making time. I know you're a busy man.
We're going to ride your coattails for a while, so we'll live in your wake. So we'll live off the Philly Foursome's wake.
All right,
that'll be great.
But thank you, Jeff.
Absolutely,
you do a great job for us and for our section, and hopefully we'll be able to bring in. I know there's a lot of players on the course right now.
Yeah.
Michael and Mark and Braden played this morning.
Right.
So we're at a little bit of a lull. We're hoping we might be able to get a couple other players to come in and join us, and hopefully too we can have someone from Haverford in a little bit join us. And is that Veronica?
Yep.
Come on over, Veronica. Come join us. So Veronica McKee is the VP, Chief Marketing Officer at Haverford. So Veronica, thanks so much. I'm John Bierkin. Nice to meet you.
Pleasure to meet you.
Thanks for hopping on the podcast with us. So, this is obviously just a really special event, and with us being Philadelphia PGA pros, and with our podcast and all of our social media, we do a lot with instruction. But this is such a special event, and for what everything that you guys do at Haverford for us and for this event and for the golf community, we thought it'd be a great opportunity to share the story. So thanks for joining us. Tell us a little bit about yourself and about Haverford and the partnership with the Philadelphia PGA.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to join you. And thank you so much for producing this podcast today live on the scene.
Yeah,
absolutely.
The 26-year history of the relationship really stems right from our founder's heart. So George Cannell is such a supporter of golf, of instruction, of the PGA, the Philadelphia section in particular. And, it has been his pleasure and our pleasure as Haverford Trust to really be able to support the community for all these years.
That's great. Mark, with you being the director of instruction here at Sunnybrook, and some of the folks from Haverford and Mr. Cannell and some of his team. Just talk a little bit about being an employee here at the club and having that relationship with Mr. Cannell and Haverford, and how that all kind of ties in and comes together.
George has become a good friend through many years. Special man, Benny. Benny's wonderful. I know she didn't want us to brag about her, but I think she made it to the finals of the senior state.
She did. Yeah, I played golf with her on Friday. She's killing it right now.
But just number one, super generous people, very supportive of the PGA pros. They get it. They support us. They give us such a venue. We get to play Sunnybrook, which is the championship golf course, for an amazing purse. And for not only that, just all the amenities, picking up, for our wives or caddies to drink each, and just spend a phenomenal day. So again, I used to it's been a while, but used to go to Christmas dinners with George at Sullivan's, and we just reminisce. But he's become a very good friend, and like I said, I can speak for all the Philadelphia guys playing it. We're extremely grateful for this event.
And we're so excited that the weather is so amazing.
What a great day.
My gosh.
So,
Perfect day.
Veronica, tell us about maybe some other things that Haverford is involved in within the community, not just with the Philadelphia PGA and kind of your role in that.
Absolutely. So community and philanthropy has been part of Haverford's core since we were founded. George made it, a special mission to ensure that for all the valuable institutions here in Philadelphia, museums, academic institutions, who have an endowment or otherwise have these savings that they need for capital endowment, capital investments, to ensure that scholarships are awarded and that these cultural institutions are available for everyone to see. So, right from the beginning, we have managed the money for these organizations as well as given back by either financial donations, heading out to their events and making sure we raise up all the prices on the silent auctions and whatever fundraising needs they have. And we also have an initiative internally for our employees called Haverford Cares. So that's our employee engagement initiative. And each year we put a slate of organizations in front of our 140 employees, and they vote on the 4 or 6 groups that they want to go out and volunteer to support. So we have several community activity days as well each year.
That's terrific. So tell our listeners like a little bit more about Haverford. Like, what do you guys do and how can they maybe benefit from the services you offer?
So Haverford is a privately owned wealth management firm. We have 14 billion in assets under management. We work with individuals and families as well as the institutions that I mentioned earlier. There are, in addition to the wealth management aspect, we do wealth planning for our clients. We have a private bank for our clients. We are a trust company. We serve as trustee on different types of trusts for our clients. And in addition to all of that, we have the whole slate of institutional products for those types of investors as well.
So Haverford also manages the Sections Restricted Fund.
Okay.
And they also now host and manage our endowment, our Martonic endowment for the PGA Reach Philadelphia as well.
Thanks for saying that, Jeff, because I also realized I failed to mention that we do retirement plan services. So for entrepreneurs, business owners, organizations that have a retirement plan for their employees, we can manage those for the employees as well.
Okay. Well, if we can keep this going, we're going to have some more employees at the Philly.
I was just thinking that.
They'll be up to
like the Philly, like 50 summer.
They'll be up to 15 billion.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair enough.
Great. Well, Veronica, thank you for taking time to join us. We appreciate it. And it's just such a wonderful thing. And there's a lot of jealous PGA pros around America that wish they could be a part of this special event.
Definitely.
So we really appreciate it and are grateful.
Yeah.
Jeff Surratt, our good buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us. We're going to
Michael, John.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
thank
it.
you. We're going to bring in Billy Garbase and Greg Wingate, the general manager and head golf professional here at Sunnybrook. So thanks.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy. Thanks, boys.
Okay.
Appreciate it. That was great.
Thank you.
Yep.
So questions about this?
The buttons.
All right. So we're going to bring in Billy. All right. Greg, you're the first person on the Philly Foursome podcast that ever got that intro. So how do you feel?
Yeah, how does that feel?
What?
2 more times.
All right, hang on. We'll bring in Billy too.
I didn't sweat on this too much.
Okay.
Great. Anything follow you.
This is when it gets good here.
Okay, here we go. We're back. That's Mark Sheftick. We got to keep him away from the buttons on our new soundboard here.
My hand might be going over.
Yes, we.
Okay.
Which is
All right. So Billy Garbase and Greg Wingate, our general manager here at Sunnybrook. Greg, head golf professional at Sunnybrook. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for letting us kind of crash the party, so to speak.
Very cool.
We're happy to be here. So, Billy, we're going to start with you. Just talk a little bit about, what it's like to host, a big event like this, really probably like the premier one-day section event in the entire PGA of America. And then kind of what goes on behind the scenes
Yeah.
to pull this off.
Thanks for having us on here, and thanks to Mr. Cannell for throwing this great tournament and party. The Haverford's pretty cool. In the Club Managers Association, you do business management institutes all over the country, and people see my logo, and they're like, "Oh, you from Philly?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, where's that $100,000 purse?" I'm like, "Oh, that's at my club." And they're like, "No way." I'm like, "Yeah." Like, how do we get in? Like, you can't. You got to be good and live in Philly. But it's pretty cool. It's pretty special to us. There's probably about 10 members on staff that have been here for all 26 years.
That's cool.
That's pretty cool in itself. We know it's coming every year. It's sort of like the kickoff right before our big member guest, which is awesome. Getting prepared for it, I will say it gets easier every year. Food and beverage side, these guys are cooking 800 hamburgers today, and
Wow.
Something, I don't even know, 300 pounds of chicken. It's pretty nuts. But it's go, go, go. And that's what Mr. Cannell wants. So putting it together, PGA, Greg, Nick do a lot of the heavy lifting, along with the chef and our assistant GMs too.
Just walk around and look good, don't
Pretty
you?
much. I have my name tag on. I just kind of shake hands. I'm like,
Exactly.
hey, you used to work here, right? Yeah, what's going on? How are the kids? That's kind of all I do, yeah.
So, Greg Wingate, head golf professional, talk a little bit about what the day looks like for you, because obviously you played this morning, right? What was some of the things you had to do leading into the day, and then playing, and then you'll have a long day of being here and representing the club.
Yeah, so the day itself is actually the most enjoyable part because everything's ready, set up, and Billy and I were on the course today. We were looking around and saying, look, the place looks great. Everybody's in position, and it just comes down to the prep work and just finding the day, making sure the weather's perfect for the event for George. But it's funny. It's my fifth season here, but I feel like this was so overwhelming my first year. But people just show up out of the blue and like, hey, I'm the guy that parks cars, and I'm the guy that does this, and they just kind of just show up and they just know, and I'm just like, oh my god, like everything's just covered. It's really the best thing I can do is just get out of the way, and the section comes here and do such a good job. They're so on top of it, and everybody wants to make this event as great as it is and better every single year. And I think it continues to elevate. The golf course is always in fantastic shape, and our members love this event. They put so much into it. It's just a really, really cool operation to look back and see. We're lucky enough that I go out and play in the morning. So I kind of like his way and just watch it all come to close. Yeah.
Nice.
Did Billy help you today, or did he hurt you today?
Yeah, Billy was great. He was phenomenal.
I wasn't sure where he was going to go with that.
Yes.
Did you cap?
First hole, I don't. First hole, he's got a 52 in his hand. I'm like, you sure? And he was looking at me like, are you kidding me? I'm the pro. Yes, he's sure.
Yeah.
He made par.
It's not fun when you hit it off the tee left and your caddy's going right. That's a funny look, but
I'm wearing contacts. I can't. It's really hard to see. It's kind of like you missing those putts.
Must have been a riot.
It was a good time.
Yeah.
So it's fun to be out there. I mean, for me, it's cool. I know there in the past there's been other GMs that caddied for the pros. Mark's never asked me, but it's a good time. Yeah, but it's good to be out there. And
if you could pop for him, he might be winning the tournament right now.
Is he using a Makefield?
I don't know what he's missing.
It's cool to be out there to see. I play with some pros here and there, so it's nice when you're just kind of kicking and laughing around. But to be out there knowing that there's $100,000 on the line, it's different. It's really different. It's pretty cool.
So do you guys have any, and we're going to hopefully bring on Nick here in a little bit, who's the superintendent. He'll have some really cool insight for us, but do you guys get together as a team to talk about it really? Or is Nick just kind of the sections letting Nick do his thing and he sets up in terms of the course setup, or is Brian and the team at the at the section doing that?
I think it's really a team effort. I mean, 364 days out of the year, we're talking about this event and thinking about it. And, we always get asked whether we're at other events, hey, what's the golf course going to look like for the Haverford? What's the conditions going to be like? Oh my God, it was so good last year. It's going to be that way. And we always have this date bookmarked on the calendar and everything kind of is a build up. We follow this event with our premier event, which is Silver Putter, which is kind of like our big member guest. So this is a really important week for the golf course for us. So it all goes through the planning stages with it, but it's all a team effort as far as the section goes. I mean, every year we just take notes to try to get better. Brian and Jeff and his team do a great job scouting the golf course. But really, it's kudos to Nick. I mean, he is the star of the show. It's getting things rolling. The golf course shine today, but it always does. So it's but it's not too different than what we see every single day here in Sunnybrook. So a little bit spoiled. But yeah, it's really just to a team effort. So
yeah, I mean, for anyone who's listening, who maybe not familiar with Sunnybrook, it's definitely one of the premier courses in the Philadelphia area. I mean, we're so spoiled here in Philly. I mean, before I started teaching at Aronimink 13 years ago, I quite candidly didn't know about the history and all the high quality golf here in Philadelphia. And Sunnybrook is always in that conversation. And quite candidly, course conditions and green conditions and green speeds are one of the things that you guys are known for here.
Yeah, Nick's definitely has flown the flag for us. I mean, it's great to practice and play on every single day. It's sometimes, I mean, last year, I think I told you, Mike, it was almost at a disadvantage because the green speed was so fast that I was looking at putts. I was like, I didn't think it could ever break that much. And because sometimes it can play as a disadvantage, but the golf course for us, we take great pride in having the best conditions in the section. And, we think we'll do a pretty good product every single year.
Yeah. Every year that we play in this event, it's amazing to see the greens, the speed they are, the firmness that they get. It really is a true test of golf.
He was praying for no rain yesterday.
Okay. Oh,
we got a half
a little firmer. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was praying for rain.
Yeah. And one of the cool things too, for anyone who hasn't been here, is the way the clubhouse sits with the balcony overlooking 1 and 9 and 18. It's super cool. So especially later in the day when we get closer to seeing who's the winner going to be, or as we get into a playoff scenario. I haven't looked at the leaderboard in a little bit. Are we still tied at 2 under right now? Okay, so we have one player on the course at 3 under, but clubhouse leaders are at 2 under. So anyways, we get later into the day, and as the tournament wraps up with that back balcony, members and spectators, it's a really cool scene.
That's really cool. Great empathy. Yeah. We were just singing your praises, Nick.
Yeah. Nick, welcome in. Nick Loophole is the head superintendent here at Sunnybrook, one of the stars of Sunnybrook, and especially today. It's a big day for you guys. It's an opportunity for you to kind of spice up and have things shine. Tell us a little bit about, what goes into the event for you, and what your perspective is when it comes to, course conditions and course setup.
We try to set our whole agronomic plan up for this week. We have our Silver Putter member guest at the end of the week. So when we make our applications in the fall, we have a slow release fertilizer we put in the rough so we can kind of feed right about now. We try to dry down the course as much as possible and make the rough get everyone squirming a little bit.
Nice.
We were squirming out there.
So do you have any say in the whole locations, or is that mostly the section, or is that a secret that we can't talk about?
No, the section picks the whole locations, and we just kind of give them what they want.
Okay.
Yep.
So even so beforehand, you said application. For our listeners that have no idea what that might mean, even though we have golf savvy people listening, when you say applications, what are you talking about?
All our growth regulators, surfactants, fertilizers, everything. We kind of have it so we're peaking, given the best conditions this week and through the weekend. So we're out there with fertilizer and whatnot.
Okay. And so, what were the green speeds? Because people are probably wondering. Okay, we're raving about the greens at Sunnybrook, something you guys are known for, and today's no exception. If you stimp them, or if you stimped them, what do you think they'd be running in a flat spot and then in a downhill spot?
We stimped them this morning and they were at about 13 and a half.
Okay.
So downhill, really.
Yeah. I mean, the greens have some contour, some character to them for sure. So the downhill ones, how'd you do out there, Michael? Little.
I was playing defense all day.
Yeah. It's amazing how that just gets in your head, right? That's the mental side of golf.
I had one putt I could be aggressive on. That was it. And it was from like 3 feet. Other than that, it was, lag it up there to a couple, hopefully you hit it to a foot and, just don't blow it too far by.
What
It's going to keep going.
And what kind of grass do you have here? Is it true bent?
Yeah, we have A1, A4 bent grass.
Okay. And how long has that been here for a while? Do you know the history on that?
They replanted the greens in 2007.
Okay. Good. And is there anything special that you have to do to take care of that particular kind of grass? Or is it just mostly growth regulators and just the normal practice of aerifying and top dressing? And
yeah, pretty much just the normal. It really likes the heat, humidity, which Philadelphia delivers on.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I'll kind of add to Nick, the one secret card that he's got, he's a pretty good golfer himself. So be able to have that touch, that to go out there and understand what playing conditions would look like, what the novice golfer should have, and also what the expert golfer is kind of looking for. Nick's kind of got that in his back pocket, and he can get it around the golf course in pretty good fashion. So he's a solid 10, I would say. It's probably more like a 6 out of 10.
He's definitely a 6.
You take more money on 10, 6.
Yeah. Wow. I want to join your foursome one day.
So what were you cutting the green heights at recently?
Green heights right now, and throughout the year we're at 105, so 0.105.
Yep.
We double cut and double rolled this morning. We received a half-inch of rain yesterday.
Okay, and that was to your disappointment, I'm guessing.
Absolutely.
What time did you get here this morning?
I was here at 3:30.
3:30 this morning.
The whole team rolled in a little after 4. We were out, whole crew on the course at 4:30.
Oh,
that's pretty cool.
Thank you. What do you want the winning score to be?
Over par, honestly.
Yeah.
Last year with the greens, we had a really dry spring, so the greens were really firm. Everything was firm. The ball was bouncing everywhere.
Well, we had one of the driest Mays in like 100 years last year, correct? Yeah. I can remember because I didn't get a break from teaching. I didn't have one cancellation because there was no rain. It's teaching like a maniac.
Now you teach indoors as well, so
I got to protect
good luck.
Beautiful skin, Anything else about the course setup or course prep that you think might be unique for our listeners to know about, or?
Nothing really crazy.
Okay.
We're pretty much delivering this to the members on a daily basis. We let the rough grow up the last week.
Okay.
Slow it down for the member guests, but yeah, usually the green speeds are in the 12s every day.
Cool.
Some of the members don't care for it, but
yeah,
some like this.
So a lot of syringing in season though, when it gets hot.
There'll be times where we need to get out there.
Okay.
Do a lot of our watering in the morning.
Okay.
Green construction is great.
All right. So now I've got to ask you, because this is on the back of my mind. Our rough at Aronimink is, let's just say, healthy. And I know Dan Mearsman over at Philly Cricket is starting to use the robots. Do you have an opinion on that, one way or the other? Like honest opinion on, robot mowers and what you think the future of that's going to look like?
Yeah, I think they're going to be here for a while. They're on the newer end, so kind of let the bugs kind of work their way out. And I definitely think there's a place for it.
Yeah,
for sure. It gives you that consistent height, no matter what time. It takes the labor aspect kind of out of it.
Okay.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you really mow the rough towards the tee box? Okay.
We just mow it whichever way the mower decides to go.
Okay. All right. That's an old wise tale then about this event.
Well, I think there are some tour events though where they will mow the fairways towards the tee box. I've definitely heard of that and went here to tour events or seen that.
Yeah, there are definitely some people that do that, but yeah. Just mow it.
I don't think he mowed at all on 18 on the right side.
We haven't. Yeah, we haven't.
I think, yeah, he hasn't mowed it in probably 2 weeks. It seemed like.
See my shoes for the half the hole.
Yeah, I found the ball on that one.
Yeah.
Oh, you were paying attention on that one.
Just that time.
All right. Well, guys, thanks for joining us. We appreciate it. Thanks for letting us come out to the club and enjoy the day and share the story about Haverford, particularly about Sunnybrook and some of the stuff that goes on behind the scenes. So we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Love to have you guys here.
Yes, thank you.
And we'll bring in Mark Sheftick. We'll bring him back onto the show now.
Mark, do you want music?
Yeah, what my music?
Hit the button, Mark. Go ahead. Hit the button.
Back. All right. That's Sheftick's intro song. So guys, tell me a little bit about what the course was like from your perspective. I was on the outside today. I did not play in the Haverford for the first time in many years. What was the course like for you guys as players? And also talk a little bit about, I mean, we're all just cranking right now, teaching with lessons. What were some of the things that you guys did to try to prepare as much as possible leading into, just a regular section event, let alone really the second biggest event of the year for us outside of maybe the section championship, which qualifies us for the National Club Pro? What were some of the things to prepare?
Mark, you want to start? You want me to? I'm ready. Come on, let me move this. This will just be easier. So for me, it was go to the putting green and practice downhill putts. And that's what I did a lot of. I didn't 3-putt once today. Well, I guess technically I had one, but I was on the fringe. But I just practiced a ton of downhill putts just to get used to the speed because we don't see the speed.
Yeah, and so that's a good tip for someone listening, that if they know they're going to go play golf at a course with greens faster than they're used to, when you're warming up on the practice green, hitting nothing but downhill putts.
Yeah. And I worked a lot on my speed control, and particularly from, say, like 20 feet and in. Like I was practicing speed control from 8 feet because at that point, the reads are going to be relevant, right? Like I need to make sure I get the speed right because of how fast these were and how much slope there is on the greens. And I mean, Mark saw it today. The runaway potential was every single putt. I mean, you could have a 3-footer and have runaway potential on that putt.
So was it getting in your head? Like, were you putting defensively out there today?
I was.
You were.
I was.
It was very easy. It was very easy to leave yourself above the hole. I mean, if you were coming out of the rough, you were having a hard time controlling your spin. So the ball would always release a little bit. There was a couple pitch shots I hit that with my 58 degree off a clean line that I was getting at least 20 feet of roll. And the ball was not checking because, again, it would hit the second bounce, would keep going. So it was hard. It was hard to keep the ball below the hole.
Yep.
There were some pin placements out there, like number 11, virtually impossible. 18, pin was middle-ish back, but again, there's an example where I was in between clubs, uphill into the breeze. I elected to hit a soft on there. I went to the back of the green, and my next putt was 20 feet.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I had that same thing on number 10. And, I'm in the fairway, just short of the green. The pin's right in the middle of the green. And I couldn't stop the ball. I spun it, I zipped it perfectly, and you couldn't stop it. It just kept rolling out, even uphill.
But what's great about that is it really puts a premium on ball striking. Someone who wins this tournament, you're not going to win by luck. You're going to have to hit golf shots. You're going to have to drive the ball well. You're going to have to hit quality iron shots. You're going to have good course management, and your putting has to be, at least about an A-. So whoever wins this tournament did not get lucky. They played a damn good round of golf. And, I've shot 77. Michael shot one under, one behind the clubhouse. So anything under par, that's some good playing.
Yeah, and for me, it was just hit the center of the green on every hole. That's all I tried to do. If I was in the rough, it didn't matter. It was just find a number to the center of the green and hit that, and just two putt my way around. And I figured I'll make one or two of those. They never went in for me today. Yeah.
And that's advice I give my students all the time. Forget about the flag stick. Just play to the middle of the green.
Yeah.
It's something that will help your score so much.
Yeah. My two bogeys, I didn't do that. I went out the pin. They were my two bogeys. But as Mark saw, like on most of the holes, if you were like, say, 2 yards left of the pin, you were landing on a downslope and it was going over the back of the green, or it was coming up short, or there was something there that was protecting that pin. You had to be extremely precise. So that's where it was just go for the center of every green. And, some holes, you may end up with a lengthy putt, but I would say for the most part, you're going to end up inside that 20-foot number, or around that 20-foot number. So,
do you know what was also difficult today? Not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
The ball's starting to fly.
Yeah.
Back to normal length.
Yep.
It was very windy out there. And, on days like today, whether you make a good decision or a bad decision, you got to commit to something. Because one mistake I made on number 8 was I had a tweener. It was between a 5 and a 6. The tee was up on the second tee box. It was 186 into a into the face cross breeze. And I made a real wishy-washy swing. And I knew over the golf ball, I'm saying to myself, don't swing this club because you don't know what you're trying to do in this shot. And obviously I hit one of the worst shots of the day. But it's just getting acclimated to the distance that the ball is now going.
Mm-hmm.
A couple weeks ago, I was hitting an 8-iron for me, 155. Now I'm hitting it back over 160 just because it's warmer weather.
Yeah. Heat, humidity. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So that has to go into the equation.
I started on 10, and number 17 historically is a 5 or 6 iron. And I hit 7-iron today. And I ended up hitting a really good shot. I missed that putt too. I probably shouldn't say this, but I missed a lot of putts today. But no, I agree. I'm like, there's no way this club's going to get there, But I knew 6-iron was way too much club. It's downhill, but there's a little gap in there. And my caddy said, Mike, you got to hit that shot. Like, this is the only shot you can hit. You can't go over the screen. You know what happens.
Michael, you consider yourself a good putter, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And I consider myself a good putter, but even if you're a good putter, your self-perception of ourselves are good putters, it doesn't mean that you're going to make every putt. And if you miss putts, it doesn't mean that you're a bad putter. I'm saying that to the audience because I think that's what a lot of club players think is, if I don't make all these putts, I'm not a great putter, or I stink. Well, no. If you're standing over that putt and you feel good about it and you give it a good chance, to me, that's good putting. You're just, some days they're just not going to fall. The hole is 4 1/4 inches wide.
Yeah.
But being a good putter has many aspects.
Exactly.
It does.
Exactly. That's my point. Exactly.
There's two comments I want to make there. First one is, it was very stress-free for me to make pars today. Very stress-free.
Yeah.
And that's the difference as well, where you don't have 6-footers for par all day long. I had tap-ins for par all day long.
Exactly.
And the other part of that is, when you get the green speeds, like Chris was talking about, 13.5, your lines change dramatically. And we're just not used to seeing those lines. Just like if, say, we're going to play on green speeds of 8, those lines are changing dramatically. And everyone has that little sweet spot of what they like for green speeds.
Yep.
13.5, I don't think anybody likes.
Right. Exactly. I don't think greens are that fast on an average PGA Tour event. They're not at a 13. They're probably not even a 12.
Yeah,
they might be an 11.
That's U.S. Open speed.
Yeah,
it's things that we never see. So it's like Greg was saying in his comment, it's hard for us to prepare for that, and that's why I practice those downhill putts. And give me a slider all day long leading up to this event, and I tried to play as much as I could and tried to put myself in situations where I'd have those styles of putts. It didn't.
As golfers, we don't like to have to aim away from the hole.
No.
But when greens are a 13 and there's less friction and you have to hit it softer, and now gravity has more time to pull it, it's going to break more. It's an uncomfortable feeling aiming further and further from the hole because you just feel like it won't come back, or you're going to inherently miss it. You worked on speed. Is there anything specific that you were actually, was it just instinctive that you were working on speed, or did you actually have like thoughts, like putter stroke thoughts or feels, or was it like just hand-eye coordination and
Well,
like
there's
your
a secret in there I don't want to share,
Oh, that's okay.
but for the most part, go on.
He'll be sharing that secret after this podcast is over.
Mark, you're going to need more than one of those secrets.
But really, what it was trying to pick my spots, right, and get those get the downhillers, get them extremely quick, and find the spot that I'm looking to putt it to where it will leave me, say a foot past the hole or a foot short of the hole, depending on what that situation is. And it's really it was putting the spots more than anything else.
Okay.
And Michael talked about putting. One thing I try to do big time in my pre-shot warm-up or just my preparation, I'm a huge believer of driving the ball well. That's one club I touch no matter what. Each day I try to hit a handful of drivers because, in my opinion, if you do not drive the ball well, it's hard to put yourself in contention.
And out here, you drove it in the rough and you lost probably 30 yards.
Yeah.
Today. Any ball I hit in the fairway, I was the longest in my group. Any ball I hit in the rough, I was shortest. It was amazing to see the bounces that you got in the fairway.
Yep.
I had 40 yards in on one. I'm not that long. Right. I mean, it just bounced and rolled forever.
Yep. Now, the downside to that is it could bounce and roll forever, but then go in the rough.
Yeah.
Right.
That could hurt you.
Yeah.
So I actually hit 3-wood on number one, which I've never done before because of that downwind. I'm thinking that first the bunker on the left is 309. I'm thinking I can get in there easily with a driver. So I just hit 3-wood and I had 106 in.
Yeah.
Because it was just dead downwind.
I wish I had that number in. That was a hard shot I had. It was not easy. You'd think 40 yards. Oh, wow. Okay. They can make birdie. Not for that pin. No way. No, it was good. I mean, look, the golf course is always good here. The test is always good. You have pressure. I had some of the staff was following me around and taking pictures and videos and things like that. So it's like, well, I have to be somewhere close. I'm obviously playing well, which, it gets you because how often are you playing golf and people are following you around in a golf cart, and taking pictures of you? It never happens.
Yeah. What do you guys think about this tournament? Mark, you've been around a while, all kidding aside, talk about this tournament and what it means to you, what it means to, as a Philadelphia PGA professional. I mean, it's kind of like a badge of honor for us to be able to let other pros around the country know that we have this and we're able to play and compete in it, and, great sense of community and giving back from Haverford.
I played in this tournament 18 years, 19 years. Each year, like Jeff Charette said, we've watched the purse go up. It is the only one-day event that you can win 6 figures. It's a different pressure. Being an employee of the club, it's not a different pressure. It's still a tournament. One thing I always like about being able to compete at Haverford is, number one, Sunnybrook, in my opinion, I know it's where I work at, but it's championship golf course. You have to hit golf shots. It sets up for a long hitter. It also sets up for a shorter hitter. So it's not like it's a bomb and gouge golf course. You have to think around it. The green complexes are very difficult. You have to hit fairways. You have to hit quality iron shots. You have to control your speed with your putter. Again, it's a golf course. The way Nick and his staff set it up, you got to play good golf. And that's for that type of money. That's what it should be. So being able to compete at a tournament, a one-day tournament. I mean, I remember the year I won the state open. I won $10,000. That's a 3-round event.
Yeah.
One round can change someone's life. And when you do play here, going into it, you're going to face a little different type of pressure because you're thinking about the money. Like Michael said, all of a sudden people start following you with cameras and you start wondering and you start leaderboard watching. And then, some people that are early on the leaderboard are going to fall apart, and there's some people that are going to step it up. You just don't know what's going to win. I mean, one year, I think 65 won. The next year, 72 won.
Yeah.
So the hardest thing about this tournament, in my opinion, is learning how to stay patient. because like Michael said, you have to play in a lot of the holes, play at the middle of the green. You will get a pin that will tempt you, but if you don't pull it off, you can turn around and look at bogey or double really quick if you're not patient.
The one thing that gets me is the pins for the most part are always in the same spot or close to the same spot.
They changed them this year.
Some were different this year. I will agree with that. There were some that were a little different, but like number one seems to always be in that spot, right in the middle of the middle left.
Yep.
And how do we still misread that putt? How do you not make that putt every time? You hit the same shot every time and you can't make it.
I think it's the hardest skill in golf is to perfect green reading. And I'm a certified aim point instructor. I'm a huge advocate, believer of aim point. And I think it's great. But at the end of the day, the average club player rarely practices putting, let alone practices or learns green reading or something like aim point.
Yep.
Right. And then goes and practices it on top of that.
Yep.
So it's something that's, there's a little bit of a mystique to it in the sense of right here, you play the same course years and years in a row and the whole locations are effectively the same and you still have a challenge with it. So,
yeah. No, I agree. I mean, it's kind of like all of our section events though. Every golf course, we usually play the same golf courses for the most part and the pins are almost the same. And,
Huntington, not to interrupt you.
Yeah.
Hyman.
Yeah,
I don't even
great example.
I don't even need a pin sheet anymore for the Hyman because I know exactly where every hole. Forget who I was playing with. We were joking that hey, I know where the pin is on the front nine, and it was there every time.
Yeah,
but yeah, it's one of the hardest events that we play.
Yeah.
That's another one where it's like this, where even par could win that event.
Yeah,
but again, some guys go low some years, and you see 64s, you see 65s, but overall I guess not recently. Recently, our section events, you have to go at least 3-4 under par to win. It's been pretty amazing to see. Where I remember my first lesson I took with Mark in 2013. He said to me, Mike, if you shoot even par every golf tournament, you'll be a top 10 player in Philadelphia. Well,
times have changed.
I shot 1 under par in every golf tournament this year, and I'm not in the top 10. So that's how tough it's gotten.
All right. So why is that? I think it's technology, right? It's the equipment, the golf ball. It's the equipment with the clubs. It's better instruction. I think even at our level as club pros, some guys are taking their fitness and health and nutrition a little more serious.
Yep. Yeah, no, they are. And they're hitting it further. So now these golf courses haven't gotten any longer.
Right.
So now they're just shortening all the courses. And before where maybe it would be, scoring average would be 77. Now it's 74, because everyone's birdieing the par fives.
Yeah.
520-yard par fives, not long anymore.
Yeah. Maybe it was last event. I think 2 under, 1 under didn't get in the top 10.
Yeah.
Which is pretty amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I first started to play, if you broke par, you were in contention to win. Now the scores are just getting low, and everything that you just alluded to, I think the golf ball's better, the equipment's better, how they're practicing is better, the technology is better.
The information, the resources, it's all there for you now. If you want to be good.
Right. Look at the tour players. They're so good. They just make it look easy.
Yep.
I mean, they take it deep. They are good.
I'm going to ask you both a question. Do you think on social media with all the swing stuff out there?
Yes.
Do you think that helps or hurts?
Hurts
people.
Hurts. I think it hurts. I think it throws too many thoughts in people's heads, personally.
Yeah.
It puts a lot in my head.
And this is what I say about modern day social media and golf content. Well, we'll just keep it to golf content. I think that
good call.
It got a lot of directions.
Yeah, that could. I think that there's a lot of good content out there. I think there are a lot of good teachers now, a lot of knowledgeable teachers. I think there's a lot of sharing. I mean, half of it's to kind of selfishly promote and market themselves. But I do think there's a lot of good information. But as I say, one person's prescription could be another person's poison. Yep. So even though the information is good, is that Mike Jones who's watching some video from Mark Sheftick or from John Bierkin, and it's a good video with good information, but if it's not what he needs, if it's the opposite of what he needs, it's unproductive. And not to mention, like you said, Michael, there's just, you start getting all this stuff in your head people, they'll come to me like, well, I watched this video. One video says do this and one video says do that. Well, I'm not going to bash other teachers. I think collectively as an industry, instruction has skyrocketed like way above where it's ever been. There's a lot of really good teachers, a lot of smart, dedicated, passionate instructors out there that are putting out good information. It's just, is that what someone needs, and how do they perceive that? How do they translate that into their own game? Some things might be good and some things might be unproductive.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, and that's where, I love what we're doing with the Philly Foursome and with our Patreon, and how we get feedback from our members, and they help guide us a little bit and with some of our videos that we do, which is really good. That's where I'm not like a big tip guy for that reason, because I don't want it to hurt somebody, because maybe that tip isn't right for that individual, and that's where I try to keep all my videos on our Patreon account to just, hey, here's the facts. These are the facts, and that's what I want to give you. And, this isn't my opinion. This is what actually works, especially with putting. So thanks for making me a part of this with the putting part. I appreciate that.
So let's say you did put a video out though. So you have Quintic, it's measuring all sorts of things. I mean, a lot of parameters there. Mm-hmm. I mean, at the end of the day, what are a couple little nuggets our listeners could take away when it comes to putting in general, or the specifics of, a putter colliding with the golf ball and how that influences what the ball's going to do?
I would say that if you struggle with putting, you struggle in one of two categories. It's either speed control or directional control. So look at your directional control from 12 feet and in, focus more on that. And then from 15 feet and out, focus more on your directional or distance control. Sorry.
Yeah.
Focus more there. If you can just master those two, you're going to start to improve at putting.
Yeah.
But I feel like a lot of people try to make that 30-foot putt, and they're so focused on the direction, they forget about the distance on it. And how many times did you hear, oh, I fell in love with the line?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I hear that. I heard it today, and to me, it's, I get it. You want to make sure you're online, but you're really trying to hit it to a 6-foot circle when you're 30, 40 feet out. You're not trying to make that putt. So why are you ramming that thing by 6 feet, 7 feet? Don't try to make that putt. Let gravity do the work to make that putt. Your percentages are extremely low at that point. So that to me would be learning those two, and then understanding how your golf ball is leaving the putter face, because then that's going to help your directional control when you get inside that 12 feet.
And Quintic is a big piece of that.
Yes,
of
huge
learning and understanding that.
Yes. And when you take a lesson on Quintic, you're really learning anywhere from 8 to 15 feet. It's really what you're learning, because it's not going to measure a putt that's struck for 40 or 50 feet because the ball speed's too high at that point.
Yeah.
So it's not giving us that information. But
tell you where that's valuable though, not to interrupt Mike. Like, one of my big part of teaching is teaching half shots.
Yeah.
If you can't hit a half shot, you have no business taking a full shot. So if you can't make an 8-foot putt or a 5-foot putt, what's going to happen when you try to hit the ball hard?
Mm-hmm.
So I know people said to me when I refer them to Michael, well, it's indoors. I'm like, but you're getting facts. Well, they're shorter putts. Well, that's kind of important because, 8 feet in, kind of important.
If your club face is 1 degree open, the max you can make, or closed, the max you can make that is 8 feet.
There you go.
So if it's open or closed more than 1 degree, you're missing from outside 8 feet.
And then
that's huge.
Then I tell people, why are we working on your full swing when you can't even make contact with a half swing?
Yeah.
Let's work on the hitting zone and then we can always add to it.
And if someone listening out there, if they're struggling with their putting, stop going to the driving range and beating balls. Go work on your putting. I hear that all the time. People will come for lessons and they're like, oh yeah. But I had like 3 or 4 3-putts, but I'll figure that out on my own. Well, if you figured it out on your own, you wouldn't have done it, and you would have shot 3 or 4 shots lower at least.
And
I would encourage the listeners to just spend more time working on your putting.
So today I drove the ball phenomenal. I hit my approach shots very well. I putted terrible and I shot 5 over par. So exactly what you just said. I've worked so hard on my swing and I can look at myself in the mirror. I haven't spent enough time on the putting and my score reflected it.
And all I did was work on my putting. But I mean that would be the difference though. I didn't hit every fairway and I didn't hit every green. But putting, and that was one area where it was a strength of mine today.
You guys need to come together and merge as one.
And to go back to your comment,
celebrating tonight.
I want to touch on what you just said though, John, because I saw this a lot when I was at a club working, and you see this a lot like in member guests and things like that, where you'll find practice balls on the putting green. That is the absolute worst thing you can do, is warm up putting with a practice ball. Well, number one, it's not the same golf ball you're going to be using on the golf course, and that does matter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but 2, that golf ball is extremely firm, and that ball is going to come off your putter face a lot faster than, say, a Pro V1. So now you're putting with a different, say, smash factor than what you would be putting with on the golf course.
People don't know that. They don't realize the implications of what putter you're using combined with what ball you're using.
Yep.
And for some people, it makes a world of difference.
Oh, yeah.
You're not going to know that unless you get measured, right, on Quintic.
You're going to find that on Quintic.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It's amazing.
It really is. And that's where, like, the other thing is, when we did our seminar over for the assistance organization at Golf Mills, one of the guys came up to me last week at our event, and he goes, I still can't get over what you said about how members carry multiple balls in their bags. And they may play with a Pro V1 hole, they may play with a Callaway another hole, they may play with a range ball the next hole. He's like, and then they wonder why they don't putt well. And he says, I'd never realized that impact ratio, or say smash factor, really had that much of an influence on it. He goes, and it just makes me cringe now when I look in people's bags and I see 10 different types of golf balls in there. So it's we're spreading the word slowly but surely.
Exactly.
But hopefully, people listening will commit to it. It doesn't have to be a tour level ball either.
No.
It can be, just pick one ball and stay with it, so you continue to have your feel and you don't lose your feel.
Right. And just to be clear, your facility, Clubhouse 54 in North Wales, PA, is where you have Quintic and where you teach with it. And you've been packed, right?
Yes.
Packed with lessons.
Yes. My schedule's anywhere from 5 to 6 days out to get on my schedule right now. That's never happened to me before. And it's it's showing because my students are having success with the putting.
Mm-hmm.
I just walk around and grab some.
Why don't we do this? Why don't we end this one? And then we can do a 2, and we can have, the second one as like an interview with the players.
Yeah.
Is that good?
Perfect.
Yeah?
Yeah.
All right. You want to wrap it up?
All right. That's episode number 5 of the Philly Foursome podcast. Thanks for listening here from the Haverford PGA Classic at Sunnybrook Golf Club. And we want to thank you for listening. Don't forget, you can find us all over social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. Everything's at Philly Foursome. And also we have our subscription channel. If you like to geek out and learn, either if you're a coach out there listening, or a golfer who loves to learn, we have great content out there on our Patreon channel. You can find us at Philly Foursome. And with
library's filling up.
Yep,
good.
It is.
Library's good.
I'm working. I just banged out a bunch of bunker videos. I'm going to keep that series going. I'm calling it Bunker Essentials. So for our subscribers, anyone that's listening who is a current subscriber, you're going to be getting a bunch of bunker videos from me, and I'm going to keep going for at least a few more. So
what do we have? About 100 videos in there right now?
I think we're in that ballpark. It's
somewhere
80 to 100.
Yep.
Yeah.
I know we're well past 70.
For
so
what, $12.99 a month?
Yep.
You're getting 16 videos a month for a week. So
yeah, and also with that is we promote questions. Yeah, as like Michael and John said earlier, in our Patreon, give us questions. We love the interaction with members.
Yep. If you see this on YouTube or Instagram, feel free to message us any questions or comments you have. All right, Michael Little, Mark Sheftick, John Bierkin, thanks for listening, and we will see you guys soon. Take care. All right, we're back on the Philly Foursome podcast, coming to you from Sunnybrook Golf Club for the Haverford Trust PGA Classic here, and we have some special guests. We're fortunate to have Scott Badami, the current club president here at Sunnybrook, and Debbie Main, a past president. Thanks for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
We're happy to do it. It's great to be here with you this afternoon.
So we are really focused a lot with our Philly Foursome team with instruction. Michael's our putting expert, and Mark does a lot with the ground forces and technology, and I do a lot of full swing and short game. So we do focus largely on golf instruction. However, there's a fraternity, a brotherhood, so to speak, with being PGA pros and Sunnybrook hosting really a premier event in the Haverford Trust Classic here at Sunnybrook. And there's a long history with Mr. Cannell from Haverford and Sunnybrook hosting this premier event. And quite candidly, there's nothing like it throughout the country with a one-day winner-take-all $100,000 shootout, so to speak. And you guys are so nice to host the event, open up your club to all of us Philadelphia PGA professionals, and really to your members and the community in the area. Mr. Cannell, there's food throughout the day, lunch and dinner, a wonderful spread, and you're so nice. We had your general manager and head pro and superintendent on earlier to talk about some of the logistics and what goes into hosting the event. But from a presidential standpoint, from a governance standpoint, if you could just share some of your thoughts on why does Sunnybrook like to host the event and your involvement and what it means to the club?
There is nothing more to the Philadelphia section that we understand it than Mr. Cannell and his sponsorship of the Haverford. We take it as a sacred trust that it remains here at Sunnybrook, and we will do, speaking for Debbie, we will do whatever it takes to keep the Haverford here at Sunnybrook. We so value Mr. Cannell making it available to all you local PGA pros. You guys are elite golfers, and the ability to play for a $100,000 shootout in one day is simply spectacular. And whatever it takes for Sunnybrook to continue to host this tournament, we'll do it.
Well, thank you. That's nice of you to say that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I ran into, when I was just walking in earlier today, I ran into Tom Karpis, who's a longtime Philly PGA pro and now a rules official on the senior tour, on the Champions Tour. And I said, "Hey, Tom, how'd you play today?" He goes, "I didn't have my best stuff, but it's always a treat to be here at Sunnybrook. It was a wonderful day." And I think really more than anything, it's a great way to kind of summarize how we all feel about being here at Sunnybrook. So Debbie, share your perspective on.
Well, I would just say that I would concur with Scott that it was always a privilege that George repeat every year wants to come back to Sunnybrook. So it's really a treat for us. We think we have a gem of a course, and it's nice to hear that the pros appreciate it. And when I first got here today, I ran into Nick, our superintendent, and I said, "Good job, 2 under." So our greens keep everyone working hard out there. And anyway, it's thanks to George and the Haverford Trust that really, it's a privilege.
And as of right now, we have a playoff. There's 2 golfers tied at -2. Nothing more important to Mr. Cannell than the playoff. If we're able to have that this afternoon, I think everybody will go watch.
Yeah, we were fortunate to have John Pillar on just a little bit ago, and he's a co-leader, so he was splitting to go warm up and go through his ritual, his routines to kind of get primed up, because he played this morning, and then actually he's 57 now, but still playing great golf. He actually took a nap in the car earlier to prepare for this. And one of the things that's cool about Sunnybrook is the location of the clubhouse and this awesome, the back patio and the balcony that overlooks 1 and 9 and 18. It's a perfect setting. And then of course, there's the Jumbotron scoreboard, and it's just a terrific atmosphere here. There's a lot of your fellow members here that just come out and enjoy the food, enjoy the day.
I'm sure now that you pointed that out, that's part of what George enjoys so much, is the fact that so many people can watch so much play at one time.
Yeah.
It is his wish that, from my understanding, all Sunnybrook members, guests, the local PGA pros, and yourself, enjoy the day. Full stop. And it is so important to him, so important to the club that we're able to do this. It's fantastic. Let's sign up for next year, right?
Love it. Love it. So, Mark, you're the director of instruction here at Sunnybrook, and we're here with some of the leadership of the club. Just from your perspective as a PGA professional and as the head of instruction here at the club, what does it mean to you to be associated with Sunnybrook, and specifically how the club hosts this premier event?
Well, the club, and this is not because of Scott and Debbie's here. I mean, the leadership of the club is just spectacular. The environment that's been built, the time and effort from all parties that are coming in, the support we get from the members, the full circle. I mean, we're a golf club, and how do you get golfers to come to golf clubs? Just by building the best products you can get.
Yeah.
So, I was when I came back to Sunnybrook a year ago, it was a no-brainer because of the leadership, because of the golf course, because of the members. The members make it special, and the members they sacrifice a day where they can't play golf so we can come and compete for amazing money, have amazing food. It's a very special place. And whether it's Debbie or Scott who said it, that we have a gem, yes, we do. And it's a gem that you can make it play very member friendly, or you can challenge the best players in the country. And, again, it's like I said, it's a place like no other.
Yeah,
very fortunate to be here.
We had Nick on, your superintendent, earlier, and he said that they stimped the greens at about a 13.
13 and a half is what he
said. Yeah. 13 and a half in the flat spots downhill.
And probably have to tell you, the wind started blowing. We have 13 and a half on the stimp with the heavy winds. If you're on the wrong side of the green, you're done.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, Michael, what did you say today with your shots into the green and then your putting?
Mike shot 1 under, so he's 1 out.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, if you missed a few yards left or right of the pin, or maybe flew an extra yard or two, or a little short, I mean, the ball just, you lost control of the golf ball, in other words, and then you're on the putting green, the ball's oscillating on the putting green because the wind's blowing so hard, and you're putting defense all day.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get aggressive on any putt because every putt seemed to have a runaway potential to it.
Mm-hmm.
It's awesome.
Certainly for the amateurs who play today, we saw that on full holes.
Nick said he was disappointed with the little bit of rain that came in last night. So he double cut him and rolled him this morning. So
Nick got to the office here at Sunnybrook at 3:30 this morning.
Yeah.
Did he have the blowers out? Was it blowing off the green? Trying to dry him out?
Whatever it takes to penalize, that's what he was doing.
I love
1 under is a wonderful score.
Thank you.
And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention your wonderful new teaching facility and that fantastic putting course. Tell us about, like, from a leadership perspective, some of the conversations that you have in terms of, this balance between, keeping tradition, but at the same time, moving into, looking at the future and the current state of where a club is at and what you feel like you need to do to kind of keep advancing.
So we were lucky. The learning center, what we call the shed, and the putting green were built during my term. But let me defer to Debbie, because a lot of the planning, a lot of the preparation took over during her term.
Thanks, Scott. Toss me that one. It was important to us to keep the club moving forward and to be relevant. And our previous shed was falling down, not heated, no plumbing, nothing. We were growing, trying to grow our golf program, but also some other sports like trap shooting, and the shed could accommodate off-season use. We just embraced golf growing and making it fun. More and more people practice more than play. They, going out to that great short adventure green or whatever you want to call it, you can go out there for an hour or two and you've golfed.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's time constraints. We all live busy lives nowadays, and having that opportunity to just come to the club for an hour and hit some balls and work on your putting.
Yep.
And practicing is a big part, taking lessons. We're all instructors. That's what we do. We specialize in teaching and coaching. But
Gotta be fun.
yeah, it has to be fun. And some people, golf means different things to different people, but some people love taking lessons, working on their game. It's a big part of the golf world now. I mean, years ago, it wasn't like that. Some clubs were lucky if they had a driving range, let alone a state-of-the-art teaching facility. And I don't know, how big is your putting green? Do you know the square footage on that?
We believe it's the largest putting green in Pennsylvania. One of the Pine Valley members made sure to let me know that Pine Valley's in the section and their putting greens are larger than ours.
Okay.
But other than that, we believe it's the largest putting in Pennsylvania.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
The other thing
Andrew Green did a good job.
We used Andrew Green, and he's doing our bunker and tee renovation project, which comes up next.
Yes.
What I wanted to focus on about the shed, to follow up on your comments, this winter, when the weather was otherwise uncooperative, our members booked over 500 sessions in the shed. We have 2 TrackMan, 1 GC quad, and over 500, hours of time from our members. It's a spectacular benefit that the members really took to throughout the winter. So we're pretty happy with that, pretty pleased. Debbie's leadership got this rolling, and we were able to get it done. And Debbie and I, on behalf of the club, are really gratified and really pleased how it turned out. There's more to come. Next year, when you guys are back here for the Haverford Walk on Wood, all of our bunkers will be redone.
Very cool.
We'll have the capillary concrete with the pro angle sand.
Terrific.
So we will
right.
have a new, not that you guys put it in the bunkers, it's for the AMs.
I was there a couple times.
Well,
I was in there a few times today.
Right. It's amazing. We're sitting here, and Scott, your TrackMan's rolling off the tongue, GC quad, G to angle sand, capillary bunkers. It's just amazing the development and technology in all aspects of golf. And in fact, earlier I was asking your superintendent, Nick, about the robotic mowers and what he thinks is going to happen with that. But so just in general within the industry, but it's amazing how technology just touches almost every aspect, even at a private golf club and just within the golf world.
Just with the irrigation going in, knowing we can be so efficient with our water use,
right,
is exciting.
And you can run an irrigation system now off of an iPhone.
Exactly.
And our irrigation systems, the new irrigation system will be put in starting July 5th, 2025. And so, yes, Nick will indeed be able to control every head from his phone, which is extraordinary. Let me circle back. You were mentioning technology. Yes, we have good technology. Technology is awesome, but there is no substitute for the 3 of you. Golf instructors who are able to look at what we're doing, able to help us improve. You can have all the technology, but if you don't have you guys, what's the point?
Yeah. And that's true. It's just the same thing with the irrigation system. You could have all the technology, but if you don't have a superintendent who has the experience and the knowledge and even just like the instinct and the artistry of knowing how to manage that with different weather conditions, it's only as good as the user. So, Debbie and Scott, thank you so much for being with us, for being on the Philly Foursome podcast. Again, on behalf of all the Philadelphia PGA pros, we sincerely thank you for opening up your club and this continuous annual wonderful event. And I know the guys, it's always a treat to be here. Truly, you guys are known for having some of the best course conditions and best greens in Philadelphia. For all of our listeners out there who aren't in Philadelphia, Sunnybrook is absolutely one of the gems. It's a sleeper. I just hope, Greg's phone isn't going to ring off the hook now with all this unaccompanied play. You got to keep it for you guys. But thanks again. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
Guys.
Thanks a lot.
Very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Take care.
All right. Welcome into the Philly Foursome podcast. I'm John Bierkin, joined alongside Michael Little from Clubhouse 54 and Mark Sheftick from here at Sunnybrook Golf Club. This is our kind of second episode here at the Haverford Trust Classic at Sunnybrook. Really one of the premier events in the Philadelphia Section Tournament Series, and really one of the premier section events in the whole country. We are joined alongside by Mr. John Pillar, Mr. Director of Golf Aficionado from Woodlock Springs, way up there in what town?
Hawley, Pennsylvania.
Yep.
Thanks for having me.
Halfway to Canada. I always marvel at you driving like 2.5 hours to section events. You must log more miles than anyone in our section.
Quite a few,
Yeah.
30,000 plus.
Yep. And also Mr. Nick Biondi, Director of Instruction at Radley Run out there in Westchester, Pennsylvania. Both competitors today. John, are you tied for the lead right now? You just took a nap in the car after finishing this morning's wave.
That's true. Yeah, still tied. I'm waiting to see what some of these guys finish up, and then we'll see. Hopefully, there's more golf.
Yeah, hopefully. So, John, how long have you been in the Philly section?
38 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Give or take a month or so.
Okay. And how many times have you played in the Haverford? Every year?
I think every year that I can remember. Yeah, somebody asked me earlier. I think it's at least 30. I don't know how many they've had,
okay,
but I would say pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah. And all kidding aside, without holding back and being humble, tell our audience a little bit about some of your playing credentials, your playing highlights. I mean, you played in a decent amount of majors, right?
Yeah.
Did you play in a couple U.S. Opens?
I played at 4 majors, 2 Opens, a Senior Open, and a Senior PGA. I haven't gotten the PGA Championship yet, but
yeah,
I'm still grinding that one out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So as a director of golf, a longtime PGA pro, how do you balance work and your game and playing at that kind of level? I mean, how old are you now, John?
I'm 57.
57.
Sad to say that.
Yeah, but well, Mark feels good because he's not the oldest one in the group anymore.
Yeah.
So
a young 57.
Yeah, you are though. Seriously. So
I'm unshaven. I look a little older than I am right now.
Okay. So, I mean, has your game in a way gotten better over the years? How would you define your game now, let's say from 10 years ago, and you're still playing at a high level? You're right now, I mean, tied for the clubhouse lead, on a challenging golf course today. Tell us a little bit about where you're at with your game these days and where relative to where it's been and how you're feeling about your game, and also, what are some things that you did or do to prepare for competitive golf when you're busy running a facility?
So to answer the first question, how do you manage the time? It's pretty much all I know. I've done that between having a family, working at the club, playing, trying to stay competitive down here, being involved in governance through the section, being involved with governance on the national level. So that's always been a kind of a juggle for me. I would tell you I just prioritize it. When there's important events coming up, I can kind of carve out a few hours here or there. But I've never been a player that sits on the range for hours. I was kind of a product of my environment, which is no driving range, public golf courses. And when I got out, you played. I just played a lot of golf. And I would argue even, when you're working, it's not that I'm going to go hammer out the range. I'll get more out of going and playing 2 or 3 golf balls for 4 holes. And it's situational golf, so that's kind of puts my mind frame. So from that standpoint, that's kind of my routine. I would say now just, recently now with my responsibilities from PGA of America, as a national board member, I was on the road 60 days a year, a lot of phone calls, a lot of Zoom. We had COVID, we moved PGA championships, we postponed Ryder Cups, all that stuff. And so that took a large amount of more time than I'd thought. Wouldn't change it for the world, but now I don't have to worry about those hours. So now I've got those hours back to, you guys have seen me more this year in events than I did all of last year or even the year before combined. So that's part of it. I get more out of playing because I won't be the best ball striker. I won't be the longest driver, but I tend to manage my game and have a very good short game. So that's been my strength. And if I putt well, then I can, put a really good round together. But ultimately, it's for me, I'm gifted with good hands, so that keeps me kind of in the mix, even when I'm not playing so well.
Yeah. So how would you define your style of play and how that helps you score well, perform well under pressure?
I would say that my style of play would be a little bit more of I'm a field player. I work the ball probably too much. I'll hit low shots, high shots, just to keep it in play and keep it from. I know my numbers. I know what 142 is, whether it's downwind, into the wind, or no wind. And so that's an area I think that's a strength for me.
And it like a day like this is where it really comes in, right? You've got crosswinds, you've got into the wind, elevation. You got to figure some of these things out. So that's been what I would say is kind of my strength is as far as a type of player, I'd be a little bit more kind of on that artist side of things versus a technician. That's kind of where I would argue that I'd kind of fall in.
Yeah.
And today's a day out there where, it's very easy to second guess yourself because the wind was constantly in the wind, downwind, sidewind. It was constantly switching.
Yeah. So Nick Biondi, Director of Instruction at Radley Run. Nick, is this your first time playing, or have you played?
First Haverford. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about what your perception of this event was coming into it, and how did today go for you, and like mentally, where were you coming into today?
Well, you know what you're playing for today for sure. So there's big money on the line. You're playing against great players: Mark Sheftick, Mike Little,
Suck Up,
Miller. Right. That's all guys that I've taken lessons from. Right. So, but yeah, you know what you're playing for. So it means a little bit more maybe because there is a higher paycheck at the end of the day.
Sure.
But I was expecting tough conditions, expecting the golf course to be in great shape as it was. And we had a great day out there. A lot of crosswinds into the wind, as Mark was saying. But yeah, really, it was difficult.
And what was there anything specific you did to prepare for today?
I hadn't played a lot of golf. I'm coming off of a little bit of an injury the last month and a half. So just kind of getting myself back into kind of playing shape.
Okay.
So lucky to be out there today, but we had all in all solid.
And Nick, when did you join the Philadelphia section? How long have you been at Radley Run, and what are some things that you're doing over there with your instructional program?
Right. So this is my second year. So I run all the instructional programs from juniors to our senior players to ladies clinics. And it's been really awesome. Like I said, I've got great mentors and these guys sitting at the table. So it's been a real treat for me. But yeah, just trying to make people better every day. A little 1%, 2% better every day, and we'll get them in a good spot.
When you're playing well, I don't care who you are, you get to a point, it starts to filter in, right? You got to fight those demons of, okay, just finish strong, get one more. Your mind can wander.
Right?
Yeah.
John, so you're 57 now. You're still playing some really good golf. Could you share with the listeners, is there anything specifically that you've been doing to keep your game at this high of a level? Or is it anything, are you working out or not really, your nutrition, or do you think it's just you draw on a lot of experience?
Yeah, I would say experience is one area that I can always go back on, but I do keep myself in shape. I'm not able to train like I used to. Things have broken down a little bit. That's just time. But I do, I'm conscious, a lot of stretching, core mobility, core stability stuff, but not anything like I used to. And then, one big thing for me is going down to Florida in the wintertime is a big help because you kind of go crazy, and that gives me an opportunity to just work on maybe areas that I think need to get in.
How long will you go down there for?
We could do 10 weeks.
Yeah.
We'll get down there January. We'll compete through the winter series and the championships, and then get back up here mid-March.
That's letting me build his golf clubs for him now.
Yeah, it's true.
Well, and that's good for our listeners to know. I mean, if they want to keep their game sharp or even try to, advance and take their game to the next level, the winter time is a great opportunity. Whether you're going to stay and do some indoor training, I mean, everyone has simulators and indoor facilities now. There's kind of no excuse, but also hopping on a plane and flying to Florida, in just a couple hours, and going down there a little bit here and there.
And I think I would tell your listeners, it doesn't have to be hours of practice or time or grind. It has to be enjoyable, and it has to have a purpose, right? No matter what we do, you need to have a purpose with whether it's I'm going to improve my putting, go find somebody, one of these fine professionals or wherever you're at, get a roadmap and then just work on it. And you don't have to kill yourself. And then it's short game. And then it's, again, I work from the hole and go backwards. That's just my nature. Because if I'm real consistent from 5 feet, and then I can lag putt inside that's not a problem. I can chip. All those things come in about, eliminate 3 putts. That would be the number one for, when you get to a level, you do not want a 3 putt, right? That's the number one on elite level or tour professionals. They just don't do it.
Right. And I'm going to inject one thing. I mean, at Sunnybrook, we built state-of-the-art learning center. We have a putting course. We have another short game area. And what's underutilized is the short game area.
Yeah.
I look down there all the time. I wish I'd seen more people there. Everyone's still at the range, banging balls, trying to hit perfect shots. And John's a prime example there that there's a guy that's got a good set of hands. So when his swing is not 100%, he can still get it.
Hitting 13 or rounded up 14 greens around, and their average score is under par. It tells you something.
Yeah.
I mean, I say it all the time. All of us as PGA pros and those of us that specialize in teaching, we should be sold out every day just with short game lessons.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yep. And that's where it is. Go ahead.
It's what I for myself personally, I'm like, why are you practicing your short game? Myself.
Yeah.
So it's just an undervalued part of the game, but it is the most important part of the game. If you're trying to drop 3 to 6 shots, short game, chipping, putting, inside of 80, 100 yards.
My members and staff will know if there's an event coming up because just outside the shop we have our putting green, and it might be 3 times a day for 10 minutes, but I'll go out and I'll work, it's a clock drill or something simple, but they'll be like, oh, something's coming up, or I'm out there just chipping, right? Some of it's a release to get away from
the operation,
challenges at work, or just a little mindfulness, but there's always a purpose with it, right? And it's just when that starts to happen, everybody's like, oh, okay. So, Pillar's going somewhere.
Right. One of my mentors, Roy Pace, would always say to me, hey, Mark, when was the last time you touched your putter? I'm like, well, it's been a while. He's like, you should have that putter in your hip every day, even if it's putting on a carpet, just to stay familiar with it.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah. It's, I had a chance to spend some time with Tom Kite when I was teaching at Caves Valley before being at Aronimink. And Tom Kite was a national member there because he was good friends, longtime buddies with Dennis Sadisher, who was a longtime director of golf there. And one of the things that Harvey Pennick told him early on in his career was go and have dinner with good putters.
Yeah.
Because they're positive people. They're good to be around.
You're not going to have dinner with me?
You right now, your invitation is wavering. Okay.
It's 10.
But it's true. It's just, being a good putter, their mindset, they're usually positive people typically, and you can learn something from being around them.
Yeah. I mean, we all know them, right? It's facts, and you can go through the whole list, right? They're carefree. Their personalities are kind of like, all right, badly. Like some of the guys that are, you could argue are the best, are probably the most easygoing and free flowing individuals as you go.
Yeah.
So I just think that's, like I don't have a lot of practices. One of the things I do is I have that half a golf ball one. I just set it down. I don't even putt. As long as I can roll that ball and it's tumbling, that's all I care about. Because that's, at the end of the day, if the ball's tumbling, then you just have to line it up and stroke it. So, everybody thinks there's all tools, and they're important, right? You need to make sure your setup is good and all the other things, and not your stroke. But at the end of the day, if the putter comes in and tumbles the golf ball, and this is his area, if you can repeat that and do it all day, I mean, that's okay. What's next? Then it's just speed, because your stroke is whatever it looks like, right? We've seen a lot of really good putters with bad strokes, and then you try and change it and they're done.
Yeah. So as we're sitting here talking, I'm just looking at the leaderboard here for the Haverford right now. And so there's still, there's a 5-way tie. 3 of you are in the clubhouse. What do you, at 2 under, John, including yourself, what do you think's going to happen here?
Well,
I'm not going to ask you what you hope happens, but I'm going to ask you, what do you think might happen?
I'd like to see everybody finish at that. We go to 18 and I hole out for a 2. That'd be my first thought, because then I can start the 3-hour journey and it'll be a 7-hour trip. But that would be the first one. No, I think I don't know what Brian.
So you Kyle Early from Waynesboro, Braden Shattuck from Rolling Green, and Brian Berkstall, who's through 17. You guys are at 2 under, and then Ryan Rasinski from Wilmington Country Club's at 2 under, but he's just about to make the turn. Our very own Michael Little is tied for 6th at 1 under, with Rusty Harbold from Philly Cricket. So there's there are 8 or 9 of you under par.
Can I ask John a question?
Yeah.
7.
So John, let's just say everything does come in. 2 under is the lead. There's a couple of you there. What's the process?
So, I mean, again, I'm not going to do a whole bunch. I'll go roll some putts, get a feel for speed, because at the end of the day, you're going to have to make a putt, right? So I'll probably spend 20 minutes there, 15. I'll hit a few shots. Again, I'm getting older. I just took an hour and a half nap, so I'll probably have to get the body working a little bit, but I'm just going to hit some tee shots. And then, again, experience with playoffs is just be aggressive, right? Put it in the fairway and just go. That's the deal. I mean, you can't be conservative. What's the worst thing that's going to happen, right? You're either going to come in second or you're going to come in first. So that's kind of would be my process. Most likely hit some drivers because by the looks of this group, everybody's a little bit younger and longer.
Yeah.
So I need to make sure I get it somewhere in the short grass.
And
then,
will you try to step on it, or will you just hit a stock shot and play your game?
well, if we go to 18, it's just a hard one for me because the left bunker I can't carry the left ones like some of these guys. The right one, if I don't hit a good, so I got to just work something in there in between it. I'll play to that bunker and work it off of it, the left one.
Yeah.
And then,
well, if you can't get to it, in some ways that's an advantage too.
well, I can get into it.
Oh, you can.
I got into it today.
Oh, okay.
So it's just it's
285.
yeah. It's just a weird number, right?
Okay.
And I know sometimes as the shorter hitter, because
I'm happy with it.
as I get a little older, I see these younger guys hit the ball a lot further. You hit a good drive, you can put the pressure on them really quick.
Yeah. I mean, you want to have the ball, right? So I'd rather have the first shot and who just do something.
And I'm not saying John's not short by any means.
No, I would say I got longer. So, with technology, I'm longer now than I was way back. But I can't do what I used to do with the golf ball.
Yeah.
So that's just technology.
Michael, anything for our special guest?
We had some technical difficulties there, so I missed a lot of this conversation.
okay.
I apologize for that.
Welcome.
Is it fixed?
It's fixed.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
That's what's most important.
Yeah, we lost our camera there for a little bit, so
Fixed now.
but we still had the audio going, so it's all
Perfect.
So Nick, who did you play with today?
John Cooper,
Okay.
which was absolutely awesome.
Yep.
And then
Coop's the man.
Hoops the man over at Green Valley.
Yep.
Terry Herzog at Bent Creek.
Great guys.
Yeah.
Great group.
It was awesome.
So what did you learn from those old timers? How did they conduct themselves?
Well, Terry beat my butt in match play last year in the first round, so that was a treat to get to cross paths.
I mean, he's annually one of our top players.
For the last 20 years.
Yeah.
He's my nemesis. Way back, he beat me a few times in big tournaments. He's always had my number.
Yeah.
Right. I learned that as we age, right? I think I'm still young. I still hit it pretty good, like long from length standpoint.
Yeah.
But I think as we age, your game evolves a little bit for sure. So you watch Coop, he hits a lot more flighted shots. Herzog's short game is really, really good. But it was just a treat to be with those guys, just like old pros, just like hanging out and talking business and talking golf instruction, how that's changed over the last 20
For
years.
sure. Yeah, I mean, the Philly Foursome, the genesis of this, for those that have been listening since the beginning, know that kind of Mark Sheftick brought us together more from an instruction standpoint. But at the same time, like we were talking to Jeff Surratt earlier, this is a brotherhood, it's a fraternity, and we wanted to come, support the section, support this cool event, hear stories and ideas and playing advice and playing tips and styles from you guys, from our colleagues in the industry. And so it's kind of a neat opportunity for us to have you guys on and share your knowledge and experience and perspective on things. So,
well, I think it's awesome. And anytime I can help or you need somebody, love to jump in, just give me a call and we'll figure it out or we'll get together. Cause I think what you're doing is, there's a couple of things you got to remember is, we've got the knowledge. Now we got to get it out, right?
Yeah.
Kind of like life. I'm a big volunteer guy, right? When you're young, you got to volunteer your time. When you're in the middle of your life, you volunteer your knowledge. And then we're just going to come a point where we got enough money. We volunteer our money to help others. So
yeah,
the knowledge that you guys have and the products you're putting out, I just think is awesome, and I think this is a big deal. This is really cool.
Thank you.
But just talking shop. I mean, like I said, one of my favorite things, you take a Terry Herzog or a John, I've always enjoyed playing with these guys because you see how it's done in so many different ways.
Yeah.
Like Terry Herzog, just doesn't make mistakes.
Yep.
Right.
Keeps the ball in play. Johnny, he's kind of an artist.
I'm all over the place. Nobody breaks 80 if I put you where I'm at.
You're leading.
Yeah.
But like I said, you become a better player when you play with better players. And then from a teaching standpoint, you remind yourself that, my God, there are so many ways to get this done. It's just not about a perfect golf swing.
It's not. And it's sometimes it's hard as a teacher, right? Because we have these preferences in our mind of where we want someone to kind of get to neutralize bad patterns.
Right.
But sometimes it doesn't transfer in the sense that of a golfer saying, okay, I'm going to take this information in this lesson and then build it in and apply it to my own game, my own style.
Right.
So there's a challenge with that. That's why teaching is not an instinct to teaching of what am I going to do with this particular individual so they can go be like John Pillar or Nick Biondi or whomever it is.
And I mean, to echo I think to echo Mark's and your comment is the more you put yourself in a position with better players, and particularly in competition, you're going to pick up, if you're not paying attention, then shame on you, but you're going to pick up things, particularly when people are playing well. Where's their pace go? Do they just keep everything? That doesn't happen naturally. So that happens. And then you start to say, well, man, his short game, he's really good. He always Brian Kelly has to hit 7 woods, 5 woods, and hybrids to every hole, but he's really good at it, right? So his game is his game. I can't hit hybrids like he does, right? But you start to realize, all right, play your game. That's what he does. What's he really good at? He putts it great. He hits a lot of greens with those type of things, right? And he always hits fairways. You play with somebody like a Braden. I followed him today. Hits it a mile. He's really straight. He's a great putter. His short game is tight and his wedges are good. Well, if he's long and he's good with his wedges and he's a good putter, he's probably going to be pretty good, right? Those are simple methods, right? That's a simple calculation. So, does he have to work at other things? So that's, some of it is you get that by playing and watching. He didn't just jump in. He's like, okay, I'm hitting it long. I'm hitting it straight. I got to be better at my wedges. I got to be better putting. I'm going to go to see Mike. I got to, all these things are just simple, but it's complicated.
Yeah.
One thing I played in front of Braden today, and I was looking back fairways. He's our national champion.
He was slow, by the way.
No, but
that was my group.
Listen, I picked up on this. Braden is playing with PGA Tour players. He's starting to walk a little bit slower. I'm a little quick, fast. It's right, probably too fast. I looked over fairways. I'm like, he's the last guy in the group moving a little bit slower. Yeah. Which you pick up on those things. The best players in the world.
Or he's just tired, Nick. He's had a busy couple of weeks.
He's had a hell of a month.
They do things differently, though.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, all kidding aside, you're right.
No, but I think all of us in the section are just watching what Braden's doing right now.
Oh yeah,
he's kicking our butts for sure.
Well, yeah, he's destroying us, but we can all learn something. To John's point,
right?
Yeah, I mean that's what you got to do.
Yeah. The industry as a whole, I think we're always learning, always growing, always trying to be the best we can be for our clients and for ourselves.
For sure.
Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
All right. Well, gents, thanks for joining us. John, thanks for
having us.
Yeah.
Hope to see you.
Hopefully things will go your way. We appreciate the time.
Good luck. He's be the ball.
He's
got a lot of texts coming.
Any last final words of wisdom for our listeners?
No, I think you know what. Just make sure you enjoy the game. It's exactly what it is. It can beat you down. It can drag you down. You got to have fun. I mean, it's a game. It's not work. So
yeah.
Even for those of us that, we try and be competitive, if you're not enjoying yourself while you're out there, you're not going to be hanging around and doing it too much, and be able to laugh at yourself. That's key. Yep.
True. Great advice.
It's just golf, man.
Yep.
It's just golf.
Is. All right. Thanks, gents. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
All right. We're back on the Philly Foursome podcast. We are here at the Haverford Trust PGA Classic here at Sunnybrook. We've been here actually for a while, getting some great interviews, a lot of insight, and really this event obviously wouldn't happen without the vision of Mr. Cannell. And we had Veronica McKee on earlier, and we're joined by Mr. Hank Smith, who's the head of investment for Haverford. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be here with you guys. Thank you so much for having me.
And just before we came on, you were sharing some great stories. So, Hank, tell us a little bit about what does it mean to be like your job, head of investment for Haverford? Kind of what does that look like? Kind of what are some of the key things you're doing? And then obviously just if you would share kind of how this tournament ties into the vision of Haverford.
So, I was a longtime chief investment officer at Haverford, and about 5 years ago, we promoted our director of research, Tim Coyle, to be co-CIO. And then a couple of years later, we made him full CIO because he really was doing all the work. And then I made up my own title, head of investment strategy, because I needed some title that gave me gravitas for the media I do, because I do interviews on CNBC, on Bloomberg TV, on Fox Business. And I actually have my own podcast now, but you have to have some meaningful title. So I just made it up, head of investment strategy. But I've done nothing different than I have for the past 34 years with Haverford.
Well, that's like us teaching pros now. For some reason, someone got a great idea 20 years ago to change the title from a teaching professional to director of instruction. So I don't go around introducing myself as director of instruction at Aronimink. I'll just say I'm the teacher. But to your point, it sure sounds sexy, right? It's good for the resume.
Absolutely. And then it also allows you to promote people that were just an assistant pro to now head pro, because now you have director of golf. And so, it really works out, and it works out in our business as well, because we were able to take a senior equity analyst and promote her to director of research, and the whole thing works out.
So you're head of investment, and ironically, you guys have your own podcast, which we just learned about today. Haverford Trust has their own podcast, and you're the star of it. It's called Speaking of Quality. Tell our listeners about your podcast so that I'm sure they're going to want to tune in, and I'm sure you offer a lot of great advice from investing to coaching and leadership.
Well, you're very kind. But our great marketing team came up with this idea that I should do podcasts to leverage off of the other media I do, both on TV, radio, print. And so we've completed 2 seasons now, and it isn't just getting people in the investment world. We get guests from all over the place, including in the recent season, Dick Vermeil. That was a huge highlight. In the first season, Jay Wright, another huge highlight, but also the CEO of Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, Madeline Bell, who's just, a superstar. And we've just had a lot of wonderful people, and we talk about any number of subjects, but it often comes down to leadership.
So when you think about leadership, because it's something that I'm fascinated with, whether we're talking about, let's say, Dwight Eisenhower or Ronald Reagan or someone in that role, when you think about leadership, how would you define that at the most basic level? What does that mean to you?
Well, let's talk about Haverford Trust for a moment. George Cannell founded this firm in 1979, and trust me, there is no investment book that would describe his leadership style as the owner of this incredibly fantastic money management firm. And he treated everyone like family. And so when I spoke with Dick Vermeil, who, by the way, ran the hardest training camp of any head coach in NFL history up to that point. Today, they run, rinky-dink training camps compared to, 30 years ago. And he said, the players have to know that you love them, that you believe in them. And when when they do, they'll go through a brick wall for you.
Yep.
And so it is no different in my 34 years at Haverford. George is truly a father figure, and he believes in everyone and treats everyone like family. Now, you're expected to work hard, but you're also expected to go home at night at a decent hour so you can have dinner with your family.
Terrific. And obviously, not only his leadership, but his passion for golf, his passion for giving back to the community. Veronica shared a lot of the other endeavors that Haverford is involved in. But obviously, and you are a golfer, right? You're a big golfer. Talk a little bit about, I'll even use the word, the coolness of this event and kind of how we get the Philadelphia PGA, an entity like Haverford Trust and the golf community in Philadelphia to come together. There's nothing like it. This is the premier one-day hallmark event of any PGA section in the entire country.
And so everyone thinks it's all about the first place prize money, which is the biggest, right? And by the way, what are we, 26 years into this? And second place has never changed. It's $5,000. So it's $100,000 for first place, $5,000 for second. But actually, the secret sauce of this tournament is the fact that the club is open. It's an all-day barbecue. The players are welcome to bring their wives, significant others, kids. The caddies are welcome to come up and go to the bar, have a drink, get some burgers. And that is so unique because all of these, they're usually Monday tournaments that the section plays in.
Correct.
The club is closed. They got to change their shoes in the parking lot. They come, they hop on a cart, they play, they go home, and maybe they win some money. Usually they lose money because you have to have an entrance fee.
That's exactly right.
And yet this is a family kind of environment. And the first year, John Allen, who was then head pro at Sunnybrook, told all the pros, yeah, bring your wives. The club's going to be open. There's going to be a barbecue. And none of them believed him. Well, after the first year, they all believed him.
Yep.
And it is so much fun. A handful of years ago, if you don't mind me telling just one of the funniest stories ever, I come up having just finished 18 in my amateur group, and we had two caddies, and they come into the bar and they order drinks that I have never heard ordered before, right? And I've been around bars a lot. So the first caddy says, I'll have a rum and Coke. I'm like, I've never heard of rum and Coke being ordered, but okay. The next caddy says, I'll have a golden Cadillac. The Irish bartender knew exactly what he was talking about. He runs into the kitchen, comes back with a pint of milk, and in a tall glass with ice, pours half the glass with scotch, and then the other half with milk. That's a golden Cadillac. What I learned later, a staple in Ireland for breakfast, because usually they have big nights and they need something to recover in the morning. Then flash forward 5 years later, I'm leaving the tournament about 8:30 at night, and I'm walking by the bar, and I hear this woman say, I'll have a golden Cadillac. And I marched right in and I said, did I just hear you correctly? You ordered a golden Cadillac. I've only heard that ordered once. This caddy I had 5 years ago ordered a golden Cadillac. And she said, that's my husband.
Nice.
So it's more than the money's great.
Yeah.
Just trust me, the money's great. But it is because, only a handful of pros are going to get a return on their investment signing up, right?
Yep. Yep.
It is the family atmosphere that makes this the most unique section pro tournament there is.
Yeah. So we're talking with Hank Smith, the head of investment at Haverford Trust. It's been a treat to talk with you. So I would say probably doctors, golf pros, and finance investment guys are the ones that always have someone come up to you and say, hey, can you give me a tip? Right? We're always giving away free tips. What's one investment tip that would be useful for our listeners out there?
Buy low and stay high.
Okay. I love it.
No, seriously. Get invested and stay invested. period. That is the most important advice I would give anyone. Dedicate money that you can to invest in the stock market, and then don't bother looking at the stock market. So it could be an index fund. It could be anything. Don't speculate. That's a bad deal. You might get lucky, but you might get lucky at a casino. So don't speculate. Just get invested and stay invested. Is the best advice ever.
Thank you. Again, with Hank Smith, head of investment at Haverford Trust. We're here at Sunnybrook Golf Club for the Philadelphia PGA Section Event, sponsored by Haverford Trust. It's just really a special, unique event. And Hank, it's just been an absolute pleasure to get to know you and have you on the podcast with us. Just tell a little briefly, before we finish up, just tell our listeners again a little bit about kind of what you've done with sharing your experience on a national level with some of the shows that you've been on.
Yeah. So,
and how that, could you tell the story about how that came about and how it all started?
So I was kind of a longtime chief investment officer at Haverford Trust. In November of 2006, I got a phone call out of the blue from a producer of Bloomberg TV's morning show called Morning Call. And it competes with CNBC and Fox Business and everything. And she asked me, would you like to come on the show to discuss your firm's outlook for the market, the economy, a sector that you're favoring, and maybe a stock or two, if you're allowed to talk about stocks? And I said, do you have the right phone number? And she said, well, you are CIO of Haverford Trust. I said, I am. And so she goes on, said, you're going to go to a studio in Philadelphia, a remote studio called Video Link. We're happy to have a driver pick you up. I said, no, I think I can drive myself. That's okay. And then at the end, they have to recognize at this time, we had an unwritten rule at Haverford that we weren't supposed to speak to the media because one of my colleagues in 1991 got badly misquoted in the Wall Street Journal. And George said, oh, that's a reputational risk. No more talking to the media. And this is way before CNBC and the other business networks. And so I said, okay, yeah, I'll do this. And then I said, now, I got to be really honest with you. I have never done this before. And she said, don't worry, we won't bite. So I waited until the late afternoon before I was going to go on at 6:10 in the morning to tell our CEO, Joe McLaughlin, and President Binney that it's going to be on TV the next day because I didn't want to be told I couldn't do it. So you wait till the last minute. And anyhow, I thought it went horribly, but they kept inviting me back every 2 weeks. And then we hired a PR firm, and the director of the PR firm said, "Where'd you get your media training?" I said, "What media training?" He said, "You have not had media training?" I said, "No." I said, "What makes you think I've had media training?" And he said, "Well, you do things naturally well in front of a camera." And I said, "Like what?" He said, "Well, you engage the camera and you lean in. You don't sit back like a deer in the headlights. You lean in." And I said, "Well, that was just dumb luck because I was the heaviest I'd ever been, and I am vain, and I didn't want a double chin on TV. So I leaned in to get rid of the double chin. And so I've been doing TV ever since."
That's great. That's great. Awesome. Well, thank you for spending some time with us. We appreciate it. Again, on behalf of the Philadelphia PGA pros, we thank you and truly are grateful for this opportunity and for this event. And, at the end of the day, it's just fun to bring people together, and the game of golf is a catalyst for that.
And it's wonderful how this has evolved over 26 years, and it just gets better and better And the fact that you're having a podcast here just speaks volumes as to the reputation of this wonderful, wonderful event.
Well, it's a special event.
Yeah.
I mean, it's known throughout the country, like John said. And
Yeah.
from the player standpoint, we're grateful.
Yeah.
We're very, very grateful.
And on a fun note, there's a lot of jealous PGA pros around America that wish they could be part of the Philly section and part of this event. So,
Right. Well, it's great to have everyone here, and let's hope for another 26 great years.
that'd be great. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you.
Okay. All right. We're back here, Philly Foursome podcast. So the playoff for the $100,000 check just concluded with Mr. John Pillar, who we had on earlier. He said he's going to hop back on the pod with us in a little bit after he finishes up some other interviews. But we've got two of our other fellow PGA golf professionals here in the Philadelphia section. Jeffrey Herb, golf professional at Waynesboro Country Club, right down the street from Aronimink. I drive by it every day on my way to work. And Billy Stewart from Union League, Liberty Hill. Great to have you guys on. You guys obviously are some of the better players in our section. You've played in this event a bunch. In fact, Billy, you won this event 10 years ago. Thanks for hopping on the podcast with us, guys. So, Billy, I'm going to start with you as a past champion. Just talk a little bit about kind of this event and what makes it so unique and special. And looking back on your victory 10 years ago, what were some of the things that kind of got you over the edge to hoist the trophy and that big check?
Well, the event's special. There's no other event like this. Across the whole country, it's the biggest section event for, $100,000 in first place. But, it's enough money. It's a big chunk that you can do something with. You want to buy a home. You want to do this, do that. I mean, there's a lot of options. So for me, actually, when I won, I took the money and I invested in myself to learn, how to teach. I did my Ledbetter certification,
Awesome.
got my PGA membership, a whole bunch of things. TPI, got certified a whole bunch. And, that's how I took it and I invested it. But, when you're playing, you're used to playing with nerves. I've won other events, whatever, Philly Open, State Open. But, when you're out there playing for that much money, it's good to know how to play, with the nerves. But you can't think about it. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
So, I was real fortunate when I won in a playoff that the putt went in. And that's it.
How was that feeling when that putt dropped?
It was a great feeling. It was actually when I was a pre-apprentice, when I first joined the section, and I was working at Golf Galaxy, and I just came off the mini tours, struggling, trying to figure out what I was going to do. And when it went in, it changed everything. I said, "All right, I'm going to be a PGA Club Pro," and it worked out great for me.
That's awesome. So, you are like us. You are a full-time instructor. Tell people a little bit about. So you're at Union League Liberty Hill, which is the old Ace Club. Obviously, Union League purchased the club a few years ago, and I know you stay busy. You're very dedicated. You've done all these different trainings and stuff. Tell our listeners a little bit about what an experience with you would be like working on their game. Kind of what's your philosophy, what's your viewpoint on the golf swing, and how you think you can help our listeners.
Well, the biggest thing for me as a teacher is when somebody shows up, I've tried to treat them, why are you here? Do you want to get really good for your member guests tomorrow? Or are you the type that wants to hit balls for 6 months and change the swing? What is it? Most of the time, they just want to get good quickly. And, I take pride in trying to get them to go out, play great with their friends next week, their best round of golf ever, because then all their friends want to come get lessons from me too. So that's always kind of been my approach. But I kind of like to cater and serve to, whatever it is, why are they there?
Yeah.
Sometimes, we always get the answer. They just want to hit it farther and straighter. I kind of tell them, yeah, so do I. If it doesn't go straight, does it go left a lot? Does it go right a lot? What is it that I can, try to help you at least have an understanding, and some clarity why the ball goes left all the time or why you slice it.
Yeah. So and so you've had the certification with Dave Ledbetter, who's obviously a legend in the golf industry, and he has a lot of street name to him. A lot of people know about David Ledbetter. What are a couple of of the more important lessons that you learned as you went through that certification with David?
Yeah.
You know, how you think that's helped your teaching?
Yeah, so when I got certified by David Ledbetter, I spent an entire winter down there in Orlando at the headquarters, and I watched him for 4 months teach all the other certified instructors, pass my 12 levels of instruction. And, it was pretty cool how you have to adjust to each person. If you tell them you got to make a bigger shoulder turn, and then after the next 10 swings, they're not doing it. Okay, you got to turn your chest this way, and they're still not doing it. You got to turn your back this way. Like, you got to finally get them to do it. So I think that's the art of a good instructor, is really adjusting to the person and getting, you could take geometry. You have a good teacher, you get an A in the class. You have a bad teacher, you fail it. So as a teacher, you got to figure out what it is to get through to the student. And and David always kept it fun too. He has a passion for it. He enjoys doing it. So
Yeah.
I think to excel at anything in life, you have to actually have a passion for it and enjoy it.
Yeah. So
it was cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. I say this a lot. It might sound a little hokey, but we're a brotherhood here, right? We're all in this together. We love golf. We love working on our games. We love teaching. We love helping people. We love being part of a club. Being the son, Mark and I are both the son of a PGA professional. So, we grew up in the industry. We love it. We're passionate about it. But how do you balance teaching 7 or 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and then finding some time to practice and work on your game? And how do you maximize the efficiency with that?
Yeah, it's a challenge. For me, I'm fortunate enough that a lot of the people I teach, they want to go on the course and learn on the golf course. We have our time on the range, and then we got our time on the golf course. And when we're on the course, they don't mind me playing with them. In fact, they want me to play with them. So I get a lot of swings in and play a lot of golf while I'm teaching. So I do a lot of playing lessons, especially in Florida for 6 months at PGA National, where we've got access to 5 courses. And then right down the street at Union Lake Liberty Hill, I'm able to kind of sneak out there, hole 14, 15, 16, at little spots where I know we can find gaps and play. So I'm able to get my golf in that way. When I have big tournaments coming up, I'll take days off and go play Lanark, where I grew up with my dad, brother, and brother-in-law. And but I'm trying to figure it out because I haven't been playing up to as well as I'd like the last couple of years.
So for all of our listeners, us as PGA pros, we have peaks and valleys in our game too, right? Right, Jeffrey? I see you smirking over there. Let's bring in our good pal Jeffrey Herb, who's golf professional at Waynesboro. And Jeff, you teach a lot. You're also a nice player. Talk to us a little bit about this event, and then also, what your preparation looks like as you prepare. We're working 6 days a week, and then we have a tournament once a week. How do you manage that?
So, how I was smirking is I have not practiced or played this year at all. Work is demanding. We're teaching all the time. I actually take Sundays off, and I do not work on my own game. That's family time.
Good.
And then Mondays is tournament day. So this is the 4th tournament of the year. I have 5 individual rounds of golf this year. 4 tournaments and 1 practice round before the 4 tournaments have started. So I've found 5 rounds of golf this year under my belt. There has been 0 practice. I hit balls for about 45 minutes on Saturday before this event.
Yeah,
that has been my practice.
Yeah. So you have to love the game. You have to love helping people and servicing the membership to be a PGA professional, right? I mean, that's a big part of our job. We're not playing golf 3, 4, 5 days a week, are we, Jeff?
I wanted to get time in and practice for this event. Honestly, this event this year, and I'm going to say right now, I'm defending runner-up.
That might be the quote of the day. We've been out here all day. That's the quote of the day.
Kyle Early works with me.
Yeah,
is now the new defending runner. Or he's going to be the new defending runner-up. So proud of him. So 2 years in a row, Waynesboro has lost in the playoff at the Haverford Classic, which is highly disappointing. But we were
But
both
at the
there.
same time,
Highly
pretty cool.
awesome.
Yeah,
Yes,
it is.
highly awesome. I lost in the first playoff hole with a 3-jack. Kyle drained that. I don't know. Was that like a 15, 18 footer for birdie on the second hole?
Yeah.
That was awesome. So anyway, let's get back to the question. What was the question again?
Well, just how you kind of answered it, how you manage, working 6 days a week or 5 days a week and then preparing for tournaments.
So, as a teaching pro, I have gotten a lot better at golf once I became a teaching pro, moving out of the golf shop, just from being on the range every day. Because you're you're meeting all kinds of swings, and you're just talking about the correct swing. And even though I'm not actually swinging a golf club, I'm making the movement for them and showing them the movement. So it's kind of ingrained a better swing, in my opinion, for me. But the lack of actually doing it, I don't have the confidence in my golf swing that I should have. But when I make the confident golf swing, it's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
But
Can I ask a question? So,
Shoot.
so you're going into a tournament and lack of preparation because you're busy.
Yep.
Which is a compliment to you that you're busy.
Yep.
So what's the mindset? Is it more, okay, I'm going to grind it out. I'm going to spend a little extra time doing some putting. What's your mindset going in there, knowing that I got 100,000 K on the line? I'm the defending champion. I haven't had enough time. So how do you mentally prepare for that?
That's a good question, because I was asking myself that question today. Last year, I came into this tournament like, I'm going to win this tournament. This year, I came into the tournament like, don't embarrass myself. And because I had zero preparation and practice, I had zero. I'm not saying my golf swing is bad. I just don't know it. Like, I had no feel today.
So here's a PGA professional who knows the golf swing, who teaches 5-6 days a week. And guess what? We get a little lost with our games from time to time too.
Because I didn't have the reps
right
to do it. Like, I knew it was right, but I didn't have the confidence in that swing to make it today.
So for the listeners out there, we PGA Tour players, PGA club professionals like us, scratch players, we all have peaks and valleys, these low points and these high points. Our swing feels good, it doesn't feel good. It's just, you have to just keep fighting and forging ahead and trying to learn from history and just keep working on your game to try to make it better. And you have to take the bad with the good with golf, because if you don't, like, this game will make grown men cry, right? It's just the way the game is. So just keep perspective on the game, where you're always going to have good points where you feel like you own it and you're going to never lose it. And then all of a sudden, 2 weeks later, you're like, what the heck happened? I lost my swing. I lost my game. My mindset has changed. I'm not putting as well, whatever it might be. But that's the challenge and the intrigue and the mystique to the game of golf.
Absolutely. So I went in today and I started on 10 today, which as a whole, I historically do not like the new 10. And I usually hit a 3-iron off that hole, but the wind is howling
Right in your face.
So
Tight t-shirt.
I went back, like, I had 3-iron in my hand and I'm like feeling the wind in my face. I'm like, I went back to my cart, got my 3-wood. And by the way, I did not hit 1 3-wood on the range, but I ended my range session with like 5 3-irons, because that was the shot I was going to hit off that tee. So I didn't hit 1 3-wood. So I go back to my cart, get my 3-wood. I get up there and I'm like, I hope this goes straight. And I hooked it into the left trees and ended up doubling the first hole. And I'm like, okay, this is where we're at. Love it.
Yeah, love that. That's golf. So Anything else, guys? Billy, I'm going to put you guys on the spot. As we wrap up this segment, what's one piece of advice you would give our listeners that could help their game? I'll start with you, Billy.
Honestly, if you play golf, you're out there to have fun. So whatever makes the day more enjoyable. I mean, I always tell, especially beginners, one good shot a hole. You have one good shot a hole, you don't complain. You got a fun hobby. So, there's so many different levels of golfers, good players, beginners, the whole broad spectrum of golfers. But you got to figure out what it is that makes you enjoy it. Some people just want to hit it solid. They don't care if they fly the green long left, if they crushed it. All right, whatever, you're happy. But
A golf pro actually just said that to me outside. He goes, "I'm hooking the ball again. I love it."
yeah,
Which is strange, but
Yeah.
he said, "I'm back."
Yeah, it's crazy. Jeffrey, what about you?
So I have to agree with Billy. I mean, enjoy what you're doing. Like, regardless of the result, every shot should be a new challenge. All right. If you hit it bad, it's okay. Look at the tour averages. They're not that good. All right.
Yeah.
What is it from 150 out in the middle of the fairway to hit the green in regulation?
24 feet.
yeah,
It's not good, right?
Yeah, it's like
So,
2
like, you think from 150 out, you should be hitting it at 10 feet.
Yeah.
No,
Exactly.
hit the green. Awesome shot.
Exactly.
Actually, 170 was 3.03, so they actually average over par. I know it's 0.3, but from 170, they're over par.
Yeah.
really.
When I saw the stats from 150, my mind was blown. I'm like, from the fairway 150, I'm like, I think I'm better than the average on PGA Tour. I'm like, I don't miss that many greens. I did closer than that. And I think I do.
And it's like, Michael, we talked about earlier, your strategy today, you missed the shootout by one shot. You played great. You shot one under, but you should feel good about that. Be proud of your play. Your strategy was just to aim at the middle of the green and hit the green and take the law of averages that you might make a couple putts and you made some. You're just one short. But like I say that all the time. I've already said it on the podcast before. Just for the golfers out there, and even us PGA professionals, we're pretty good. Aim at the middle of the stinking green. It's going to help your game.
Can I jump in there?
Please do.
Because I started on number 10 today, and it was horrendous. And by the time I got to the front nine, my back nine, the only thing I was doing is just hit in the middle of the green. I shot one under on the back or on the front nine.
Yep.
So we're ready.
John's pretty happy.
All right.
I'm sorry, John.
We're about to bring the champ in here in a second, but yeah, I mean, Jeff, that's great advice, guys. Obviously, the Philly Foursome, we do a lot of golf instruction, but this is a special event, the Haverford Trust Classic here at Sunnybrook. We wanted to come and do, in our own little way, support the event, but also it's just a great opportunity to hang with our brothers in the game of golf. We want to thank you guys for taking a few minutes to hop on the podcast, share your thoughts, experiences. Again, if you're looking to take lessons, Jeff Herb at Waynesboro, Billy Stewart at Union League Liberty Hill. Great instructors, great players in the Philadelphia section. We really appreciate you guys coming on with us. It was fun hanging, and yeah, that's it. Thanks, fellas.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for having us on. Appreciate it.
We're live.
All right, so John Pillar. Oh, wait. Yeah, the champ gets that little tune.
Yeah.
Mark Sheftick loves that.
Yeah.
John Pillar, we had you on earlier talking about what if, and now here we are. It happened. Congrats. You won in a playoff. 3 holes. You went par, birdie to win the Haverford Trust. Pretty cool. And I can just tell you, there were a lot of people rooting. A lot of your colleagues, brothers up there on the hill were rooting for you, well,
it means the world. I mean, they said it was fun to watch, but it was a freaking nerve-wracking 3 holes.
Yeah.
But it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. It's like, it's kind of why you put yourself in a position and just to keep going and going, and you fail and you fail. And then, you know, I said this to Harry. I didn't think I was going to be able, it was good enough to win again in the I mean, I know that sounds crazy.
Yeah.
So this is something for me. It's a very emotional, it's a very emotional moment. And cause I literally did not know if I was ever going to, I just, you know, you're at that point, I had 3 years and things aren't going. And that was just, yeah,
Congrats. So just for our listeners, we ended up Haverford Trust here at Sunnybrook. We've been here all day, and we've had a blast too. It's great. John, we had you on earlier. Here you are, you win. So just to be clear, to set the stage, we had a 3-way tie at 2 under. You, Kyle Yearly, early from Waynesboro, and then Braden Shattuck, who's been on fire. One of the Philly Foursomes, who was low club pro at the PGA, then won last week at Bellwood. So the 3 of you guys tie at 2 under. So you go to 18. We do a shootout. Braden, I guess his drive ended up in a divot, right? And he just hit it to the back of the green and just didn't quite get up and down. So he was out. So then you and Kyle go back at making pars, go back.
Yep.
You play 18 again a second time, and you both make birdie.
Yeah.
You go back to 18 again, and then John, you made birdie again.
Yeah.
So talk the viewers through what happened and how you were feeling and everything.
Well, I mean, first thing was I was nervous. I mean, I'm not going to lie about it. It's part of what happens when you're in that situation, and then you just got to get back in the process. So, you know, actually, I was playing at that bunker. We were talking about this, and the wind was up, and I knew I couldn't get to it. So I was playing it left in the rough. That's going to sound weird because I didn't want the ball spinning. So that was part of the plan. And you know, so the first playoff hole, got up there. You know, I hit what I thought was a really good shot. Had a flyer, was just beyond the hole.
What'd you hit?
I hit 9-iron from 141 plus 9, so 50, and then wind. So I didn't think I was going to go deep, but I definitely need to get over that first ridge. So I hit that, and then obviously, you know, Brady.
So there's a little bit of a false front there on 18.
Yeah, it's 8 yards with a false front start. So it's a tricky hole. I mean, you just have to be careful, but you have to put yourself in a position where you're putting, right? I mean, I left it short and chipped it and came back to my feet and made a grade 5. But so Braden chips down and goes way by. So I said, well, that's fast. And then Kyle did the same thing. And I said, well, it's really fast. And then I thought I left it short and had probably 4 feet or so.
I said to myself, I mean, with your experience, I was like, I bet if anything, this thing will tumble in the hole. And you're still ended up going almost 3 feet by.
It's real fast.
Yeah.
And then we both made those, which was great. And then, you know, then we went back. I was in the same exact spot. I had the exact same number. Different lie. So I was able to hit that one a little bit better and get it kind of the right side, not as deep. And that putt, I want to see a video of this one because about 4 or 5 feet, it started turning and I knew it. And I just, you know, I kind of did. I just remember raising my putter like, finally, I made a freaking.
Now, John, let me ask a question. Like in the heat of the moment, you hear people, good players talk about this. Did you see the line a little better? You a little more focused?
Well, I'll be honest with you. My goal was to try and leave that putt short because the other one was straight down. And this one, literally, I had to get it to a point and then let it trickle. It was going to break. So as soon as I hit it, I said, okay, I'm not going to, I don't want 4 feet. I was not good. And then it's just, and once it caught that I guess you'd call it an apex, and Mike, this is more in your, it just started to turn and I knew it had the right speed. And then I was like, okay, now it just turned, now I know it's in. And then, you know, it's something that you hear all the time about knowing the guy's going to make it. And I'll be honest, it was the first time I went off to the side to get my shadow out of the way. I knelt down and I knew he was going to make it. So I was already ready to go back to the tee. There's been times where I kind of head down and I'm not going to listen. I'll wait and hear. I just was watching because it was pretty cool theater, right? It was,
it was very cool.
It was,
very cool.
And I know it was like halfway. I was like, great. I was like, let's effing go.
Yeah.
And it's funny because he just, as soon as it went in, he turned and started walking away.
Yeah.
So I get down there and he's like, I'm so sorry. I said, dude, this is great, right? This is the theater you want to be.
Yeah.
And then,
and just for the listeners out there, again, if you haven't been to Sunnybrook, there's a great hill here on the back of the clubhouse, and there's a patio and a big balcony. So everything, you can just feel the energy. You can see everyone. John,
you can also
right?
hear everything.
Yeah.
So you know, when you're down there, there's a lot of familiar voices that I could hear. And you know, you're supposed to block everything.
There might have been a couple drinks, you know.
Yes, Mr. Cannell definitely does this right. So I and appreciate it. So we went back, and then I hit the fairway finally, and I actually was like, oh boy, because it was a hard 9-iron, or you know, go down an inch on an 8-iron and play it low, and that's what I hit. Because I just didn't feel comfortable flying that 9-iron on. I felt I couldn't get it over the ridge. So as soon as it came off, I was actually just saying, like, just get up a little bit, because I didn't want it to hit into it. And anyway, it turned out really well right below the hole. And then Kyle hit a great shot out of the bunker.
That was good.
Lip. And actually, when it landed, I was like spin, you know, because at that point, like, yes, you want to win, but you want good golf. You want to win with good shots.
Exactly.
And he's such a good kid, and he's going to have many more opportunities. And Braden's got, you know, he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then, you know, when he hit a great putt, if it had less speed, it would have went in. And then I had almost this, you know, it was twice the distance of the first putt, so I knew it was right edge, because I had literally on the same exact line from 4 feet, and this was probably maybe 10. And I just, you know, I was shaking and trying to put my coin down, and just kind of went through the process. Took, you know, 10 seconds of just some breathing, and got over it, and just it went in. And there are moments that I've had few, but this was a really cool one. And it's been a hard month, you know, with you know, my good friend Dustin, and who worked with us. And, and you know, a lot of that stuff going on. So there's been there's a heavyweight.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of different areas.
So for the listeners out there, we unfortunately lost one of our colleagues, Dustin Wallace, who, John, he worked for you for a while, and Dustin and I actually went way back. We worked together at Old Marsh years ago. Earlier on in my career, I was just an outside seasonal assistant, and he was caddying, and he and I actually knew each other back then, and he was just doing great things. And
looking at it right now.
Yeah, the ribbon right here, and you know, so it's and I'm sure that's been harder on you than.
I mean, he was, you know, anytime somebody young goes, but when he becomes part of the family, not only the work family, but he was a great mentor to my 3 boys, you know, in ways I never knew until I talked to them.
Yeah.
And then my oldest son showed up, and when I'm doing an interview there, and all of a sudden I look up, and he's like, I was watching this whole thing on the way down, and he lives in Manayunk. And so there's another emotional so it was really interesting. I did something I don't normally do. Like when we had to go down, this went off on this bench over here, driving down, because I knew the guys were walking. I just sat there for trying to calm down and just kind of get back into a frame. And then I also reflected on you know, a lot of the people that put me in this position. And then obviously, you know, reflecting on Dustin, and then you have these thoughts that, you know, you're not good enough. You're not going to win again. Right. And this is so beyond what I thought was going to be a possibility, because I actually started putting some time in, and I knew I had the time. You know, again, the golf course was set up very difficult, which sets up very well for me. I had a really good run out at the Senior State Open a week or so ago on a really brutal golf course. Had a chance there, and I missed a putt on the last hole. So this is a direct reflection of going through that process, failing, if you want to call it that, and then all of a sudden, you know, getting yourself, and it happens. It doesn't always happen, but I'm just freaking thrilled.
That's awesome.
Sometimes failure is a great motivator, because you put yourself there, you're that close, gives you a little bit of confidence, get over the edge.
Well, there's no stairs to, you know, or elevators or escalators to success. Right? You got to take the stairs, and you're always gonna trip, and you're always gonna either stay on a step or you're gonna go backwards. I've said this for years, and you know, I've got some really good friends that are Navy SEALs, and they're like, it's just part of the deal, right? So they've helped a bunch there too, you know, and actually the breathing, you know, which are some of those things that they've helped me out with, they call it, what do they call that? Arousal, when you get high arousal. Kind of funny when you say it, right? But that's the state you get in, and you got to bring everything down. And, there's some breathing techniques and some things that I used today, which was great.
Yeah. And, you're 57 years old and you're still playing some good golf. We talked about this earlier. I think just that was an inspiration to a lot of the guys, our fellow PGA pros watching. And I think for our listeners, there's something to be said, something to be learned from that, John, where that's the cool thing about golf. As you get older, you can keep making your swing better. You can keep learning about your strengths and weaknesses. You can keep improving with your chipping and your pitching and your putting, and continue to enjoy the game and get better. It doesn't work that way in other sports.
Yeah. I mean, physically, you generally, with other sports, you physically break down, and here's your limit. That's the good things. If you take care of your body a little bit, it doesn't have to be a lot, but you have to maintain. But you can do the small things that have like we talked earlier, putting and chipping, right? Well, I mean, it's there you go. You don't have to hit the fairways. You can do certain things, and it works out.
Yeah.
Sometimes it works out.
Yeah.
And it worked out pretty good today.
Yeah. So John Pillar, the 2024 Haverford Trust PGA Classic champion here at Sunnybrook. Congratulations. I know there's a lot of people that are really, really happy for you. And we are as well.
I got to get a little selfie.
Awesome.
Oh, where's everybody? Yeah.
Cool.
Love it.
And it's also nice to see someone like you who's really given back to the game and to our association. You've done a lot. You've been on a lot of committees, a lot of boards.
For the PGA.
You've done a lot for the PGA.
Yep.
And like Mark and I both are the sons of PGA golf professionals, and we know what it's like. I've said it throughout the day today. It's a brotherhood, and it's just, we're really happy for you.
Well, let me tell a quick story.
Yeah, please.
So John and I were paired up in the state open for Navacola long time ago. And we're on hole number 4. I'm saying this because my wife's over there. And John's trying to tee up on the par 5, and she hits the machine, and all this change starts coming down. She's like, "Did I mess up, John?"
No, never. And I think the great thing about this game is that, you just got to give back, right? That's it. And I just love, you said you have a lot of support. I love this entire section. I got to know the entire district between Philly and Met, but and New Jersey, but Philadelphia, it was overwhelming to see all the people that were still here, and I like to be, you all know, I like to have a good time. And I'm generally the last one to leave, and I have the furthest drive, because I think it's important. I think that this, the camaraderie you have, and this kind of fraternal and aspect of being around, seeing how everybody went, not just on the golf side of things, like how you doing? How you doing? How's the family? I think it's critical. And I mean, the reality of it is that the only thing, golf has given me absolutely everything. I was in a place at a time where there were 2 options and they weren't good. I got an opportunity to go and get into golf, and that transformed me to where I'm at now. Right. So like the PGA of America, my membership is my master's degree. I graduated high school, college. I love college life. College work wasn't for me. But so everything I have is through the PGA of America. So why would I not give everything back? Because it's given me everything. And like, I know some people are like $100,000. It's like $1 billion to me right now, just to let you know. Like, this is a big deal for me, and my family. So, I told Mr. Cannell, I said, this is life changing. I mean, this is a big deal to everybody that wins this tournament, that has an opportunity. So, and I can't thank the folks from Haverford enough, because it's a game changer.
Congrats.
It's probably, from me watching you, it's great to get over the hump, because You've been in there many times.
I mean, I love when you're a runner up with four others and you get a $989 check and the other guy got 50 or 100. It's like it tastes so good, right? You lose in a playoff and you get but no, this is I think it's just you can't ever stop, right? You have to just keep going because it's a game. We talked about it earlier, man. I love competing. I don't play a lot of social golf. I tell you, when I tell you I love competing, it's just awesome.
Yeah.
And yesterday I had a match in the match play and it wasn't good golf, so all of a sudden, but when everything zeroes in and the rope happens, it's a single focus, right? And all of a sudden everything just kind of goes away. And then you have one thought. That's it. I'm freaking tickled, man. You guys are awesome.
Awesome. All right. John Pillar, thanks for joining us. Congratulations. A big thunderous applause. It's a great accomplishment. And again, I know there are a lot of guys rooting for you and happy for you. And it's a special event. And again, a big thank you to Haverford Trust. We were fortunate, John, to have a few executives on, and they were a lot of fun. And Jeff Surratt started the podcast. We've been here all day, so we got to break this into two segments because we've been here all day. We have so much content, but it's a special thing. And for us that are PGA pros, it's a little bit of a badge of honor. We get to go around the country, and guys are jealous that we have this amazing opportunity.
Yeah, keep it up because this is fantastic.
Great.
I appreciate all of you.
All right.
Thank you. Congratulations.
Thank you.